12 Today with Ari and James. Monday through Friday, 8 a to 11 a Eastern Time. Your home for all things Big 12.
Big 12 Today here on Big 12 Radio. It is a fanatic free-for-all Friday with Ari Timken.
You ever strut?
I strut every day.
This is a strutting song.
T-Chain's on the controls. He's our audio producer.
Black Betty? No?
Oh, yeah.
You know you know. IYKYK.
And I know. Trust me. I'm James Westling. We've got Anthony Smith behind the camera for Big 12 Studios. Our Countdown to Kickoff series highlights Oklahoma State today. We'll do that here in about 20 minutes. Eric Bailey will be our guest from the Tulsa World in this first hour of the show. But on a fanatic Friday, Bill Self was about as transparent as he's maybe ever been. We'll get to that here in just a moment, but you fired up for the weekend?
Yeah, I think I'm actually going to buy a new car today.
What?
Well, a used car, but a different car than I have.
Okay.
Yeah. How do you go about buying a new car?
Tell me more.
Well, you don't really buy new cars, do you?
I do.
So
about every 5 years.
When I bought the car that I'm driving right now, which is a Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport, I wasn't driving very much. This show was at my house, and it was okay to have a car that got like 18 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
Now, I drive here, I'm doing the Haymaker show twice a week, driving up to Frisco. I've been filling up my gas tank once a week and sometimes less than that, okay? So I've decided this makes no sense. This is the dumbest thing ever. I should get a different car that would allow me to get better gas mileage. So I'm going to get one of those hybrid trucks.
Okay, a truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Stepping up.
Well, I mean, for hybrids, you've got limited options. You're either getting like, a sedan like you have,
It's a sports sedan, but go on.
or a truck. I mean, it's basically like a Honda Accord hybrid or a Toyota Camry hybrid or the Ford Maverick.
Maverick.
That's right.
Okay.
Now you're onto something.
That's the...
So I'm going to go from like 18 miles per gallon to like 40 miles per gallon. I'm psyched. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I'm excited. But the whole process of buying a car is, I mean, it's undefeated in terms of being just the worst thing ever. The negotiation part of it, then going in there, and it takes hours. Where are you going for so long? The car dealer leaves, comes back an hour. Like, where have you been? What's going on here?
Yeah.
You're not a doctor.
So are you buying from a dealership?
Yeah. Driving out to Fort Worth.
Dang. Okay, so...
Well, I scour. I look. I negotiate. I find.
It's too late for me to chime in because I'm your guy. I research relentlessly before I buy a vehicle. In fact, I'm in a 2-year window to needing a new vehicle. My daughter's about to be driving age, so I'm going to give her mine. I've already begun the research process. So 2 years from now, I will know exactly which vehicle to buy.
Okay, so
for this vehicle, I drove 7 hours, 2 states away to pick it up.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people do that. I'm not smart enough on the math side to figure out, like, the gas, mileage, cost savings part of it. But it takes about a week and a half to buy a car. But it's my cousin who lives down the street from me. Our dads are brothers. We both grew up in Chicago. We both went to Kansas. We both met Dallas girls. Now we live down the street from each other. Okay. He's like the opposite. He's very indecisive. He just bought a car. It took him a year to buy a car. And he started with a Rivian, and then he's on this. And I'm the complete opposite of that. It's like I zero in on what I want, and Claude and I have negotiated this whole thing through.
Beautiful.
And Claude and I are going to see this thing to the finish line.
Yes. So today's the day.
Today's the day.
So you're picking it up today, or you're actually like walking in? They have no idea that you're even interested in it.
No. I've been, and that's the other thing is like to hammer it out through text message.
Yeah.
You know, with the guy, like, no, don't call me. I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, when are you gonna come in and see? It's almost like, you know how when you talk to somebody that's, like customer service on the phone, they have like a script, right? Like, oh, I'm so sorry that's happened to you, and like they just have this long-winded script. It's almost like the same thing with car dealers. Like, yeah, let me know when you're gonna come in and take a test drive on it. Like, I'm not driving out to Fort Worth just to test drive. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
That's like one city away.
Dude, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you.
I love car shopping. I do. I have a very
Car shopping is fun. The rest of the process is horrible.
Yeah, but I have a very strict criteria. It's got to get good gas mileage. I drive a ton. I need acceleration. I'm all about that speed. And then it needs to be roomy enough for trunk space and to fit my kids. Right now, my sports sedan, we're only checking 2 of those 3 boxes. It's barely big enough to fit the kids. So I'm going to have to upgrade to a larger sports sedan, or do I go the SUV truck route? That's what I'm wrestling with in my head.
I mean, if you want to get all of your kids into one vehicle, it's just not happening with your current setup here. What do you have?
He drives a big white daycare van.
You have 17 kids, right?
At least.
As far as I know. Yeah, you just get like a conversion van.
Yeah. Put some TVs, maybe some couches in the back.
But I'm
sort of sweet.
I'm kind of the same as you, except that like the gas part, I was like, I just didn't. It's hilarious. Basically, since COVID, and even 2018, the show launched on XM, and we were from the house for years, and I didn't go anywhere. Never left the house. Yeah. I had a car. I actually had a Passat. I make fun of you for your car. I had a Passat. It was like,
now it's all coming together.
By the time I sold it, it was like 4 years old. It had like 2,000 miles on it.
That's incredible.
It's like never going anywhere.
I drive 2,000 miles a week.
I've driven 2,000 miles in the last month. I mean, you drive to Kansas a lot, like, so that obviously does it, but like it's just crazy how much more driving I do. And I was filling up my gas tank. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what? I don't need to do this anymore. Like this is.
I'll just set my wallet on fire instead.
I mean, seriously. Yeah. Claude's like, yeah, you're gonna save like $3,000 a year for doing this. It's like,
nice.
Thanks a lot,
dude. That's impressive.
Me and Claude, we're going
I thought
places.
Claude was just helping with like, is this a good deal for this vehicle?
Oh no.
You're breaking down gas. Oh, well done. Well played.
Thank you. Claude and I are.
That's how you use it.
Claude and I are going places.
That's
James.
how you use
Claude
it.
and I are going places.
You were talking about the kids. So this week is back to school week.
Yes, it is.
It's a big week. It's a big week. The kids are back in school. So do you guys get like, and Taman, you'll experience this, a first day back to school class picture? Some teachers send, some don't. They've got apps now that the whole class is connected to. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, a first day picture, like picture?
Like class
singular?
picture.
Or like the mountain of pictures is a part of the, you've got to get the picture in front of the house with the sign, holding up the sign.
Right.
And then, of course, is it really a first day if you don't post that picture on social media so that everybody,
it's not,
including strangers, can know what grade your kid is in?
Strangers just assume your kids don't go to school.
What grade your kid is in, who their teacher is. I mean, this is information you want strangers to have, right?
Birthday, social security number, all the things.
Yeah, you
home
got strangers
address.
showing up to your kid's school, like, yeah, let me take little Johnny out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's in Miss Freeberg's class. Like,
yeah. So I get this notification. It's their first day of school class picture, and this is for my son who is in 2nd grade. And you pull up the picture and you kind of start scanning to see where your kid might be. So I'm checking out this picture, and it's just kind of ho hum, and then bam, top right corner. I'm like, who's the stretch 4 from Wisconsin in this class? That kid is a giant. Turns out it was my kid. It was my son. Like, I had no perspective for how much he had grown over the summer. He is a giant now.
wow.
Compared to everybody else in class.
So this is. I'm trying to remember which side. If you don't want to say their name, it's okay.
This is L Dog.
Yeah.
This is L Dog.
Yeah.
But I'm scanning that pic. I'm like, why is Zach Eady in Mrs. Weisner's class? Like, we can skip the college fund. Let's start saving up for those size 19 Nikes. He's going to be rocking in like 6 years.
He's got your size. What are you? You're pushing like 6'2", 6'3", right?
I'm barely 6 feet tall. Barely 6 feet.
Well, look, the point of having children is so that they're better than you, right? Like, that's kind of the point of having kids. If you're going to have kids that are not better than you, then why would you even have kids, right? That's why I tell my kids all the time, like, yeah, this is what I am, but I'm, like, horrible. There's so many ways you can be better than me. Go do it. If you don't, you failed.
I'm convinced he's going to be at least 7'9".
I'd say that's reasonable. I'm sure the doctors probably verified that too.
Like, he's got tall hair, kind of like me. He's got that Patrick Mahomes perm thing going on, which is sweeping the nation.
But it's interesting though, because when you have some kids that live out of state, and so you're not seeing them as often, whereas the kids, your stepkids that you see every day, like, you wouldn't notice notice it like that. It's just the slow incremental growth that if you don't see it over like a few months, it's like, whoa, that's wild.
Like I went to in May, his like school play day. He's a taller young lad, but then all summer long I'm with him basically every day. And then I see this class picture. He's a foot taller than the kid next to him. It's like Jeremy Lin is standing next to
so
Sean
it wasn't
Bradley.
even that you hadn't seen him it was
No,
that
I've been with him all summer. I just didn't realize compared to other kids his age, how ginormous he was. Like, we got to start hooping.
My oldest kid is the back row picture taker, which is that's a huge development for my family. My younger kid's a front row kind of kid. So we're trying to.
Your boys fight a lot.
I mean, I'd say it's normal. It's a lot.
I don't know. Do they just argue a lot? Do they wrestle? Do they throw punches? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, but like my older son, who's 3 years older, is also a lot bigger. So yeah, they can only fight to a degree.
Okay, so there's a clear disadvantage.
Yes.
Ours, man, it's a fascinating dynamic because we have like the younger ones, the two youngest in the entire group are the two best fighters and can kick everybody else's butt that are 2 or 3 years older than them. And my giant
that doesn't surprise me at all, by the way.
Dude, it's so wild. I can't wrap my mind. I'm like,
those kids are from the streets.
Like, you guys are bigger, you're stronger. Like, why are these guys just constantly kicking your ass? And then my oldest, the giant, the stretch 4 from Wisconsin, Purdue offered him a scholarship.
He's basically your doppelganger.
Yeah, but he's like
you as a second grader.
He's the sweetest, quietest, like most chill, sensitive kid ever.
He's you as a second grader.
But he's also a wrestler. Like, that is his sport. So he knows all these wrestling moves and leverage points. We were wrestling around in the pool. Dude, he had my arm whipped around my back. I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, why aren't you doing this on the streets? Like, these kids will stop messing with you.
He's got kids that mess with him? Do we have to show up to his school?
His brothers.
Oh,
yeah, his brothers. Yeah. No, just his brothers. Oh, that's wild. All right, so how do you feel about Bill Self? Because he was on John Rothstein and was very transparent about his health. And we spoke to him at Media Days last year. And remember last year he said, yeah, I did consider stepping away and retiring. Well, it sounds like he was even closer this offseason. He's definitely back. But here's what he said with John Rothstein.
I don't feel I need to. I feel I want to. It's different now, John, as you know, and every coach you talk to tells you it's different. But you know what? We all got to change. All professions change. Your profession has changed dramatically in the last, 10, 20 years. So we all have to adjust. And one of the challenges to me that I'm excited about is, can I adjust? I take great pride in this. We used to be a high-low team. We used to play inside out. We won a national championship playing that way. We won a national championship playing outside in. We won a national championship utilizing the three-point line. We won a national championship playing the easy baskets and layups, depending on personnel. We've really been consistent, as you know, but the last 2 years haven't been as good. Really, the last 3. But we've been consistent. But there's still something in me, because when we won at 22, it was really pre-NIL. Yes. There were some guys on the roster that were making $15,000 or $20,000 a year, but not like it is now. It was really pre-NIL, and everybody that was recruited to that team, there was no NIL when recruited. I really want to prove to myself that I can do it with the new generation of college basketball. So I love coaching. I love being around the guys. I love teaching, but I also have an inner drive to say, you know what? I'm not so long in the tooth that I can't adjust. And so, a lot of it's a crapshoot too. You know as well as I do. A guy that averages 15 at a mid-major, how does that translate to Big 12?
Right.
There's a lot of things, and that guy is projected to be one of the hottest tickets out there, and you're competing against guys that can offer a lot of money, and so what stance are you going to take on that? And the thing about it is, I think we've done really well recruiting, and I don't think it was quite as good a couple of years ago, but last year, I mean, heck, our portal guys, Melvin and Trey, I mean, they crushed it.
Yeah.
I asked for more than that. I'm really happy with this group as well, but it's you got to have some good fortune too. You see a lot of guys that are really good at one place, and they go to the next place and they struggle, or a lot of guys that just need a new scenery and they go there and they're great. But the thing that is hard to evaluate is culture. It is how are 1 year guys going to impact all that and what you're trying to do, and teams that do it and pick right and are shrewd and frugal with their money and all this stuff. Just like right now, programs that did as well as they possibly could recruiting and spend all their money, now there's a chance that maybe some programs that didn't do quite as good and have some
Yep.
money available can actually end up having better recruiting classes than you with this 5-year deal. I mean, I'm not saying that from our respect, but that's something that everybody's going to deal with. So it's just different, but it's the way of the world. I think the thing that frustrates everybody the most is just the uncertainty. Hey, let's figure it out and go with it, as opposed to every time the NCAA gets sued, there's the thought of an opening that we can do something that's outside what the intent of the rules are.
All right, so I think some open honesty there from Bill Self, and this was a really good, far-reaching interview. There was another clip where he talked. I mean, it was the first time he actually said heart attack in reference to his health. This one though was interesting from the standpoint of talking about how he could adjust. He mentioned early on they were very high-low. Kansas was very high-low in terms of their offense. They've adjusted their offense. I would argue that Bill Self has not done a good enough job in adjusting some of the modern trends in terms of three-point shooting. And look, I understand every coach and program does it differently. I mean, just ask Tommy Lloyd in terms of three-point shooting, but Kansas has kind of been in this weird spot the last few years where they have not been a high-volume or high-percentage three-point shooting team. So I don't know, and they haven't really been a high-percentage shooting team overall. But I think that was interesting. And then he basically just brought up how difficult NIL has been for him. He was talking about how some of his best teams were pre-NIL, including his last national championship team, and that and to be fair, he has tried a bunch of different things. You go get guys from small schools, you go get guys from bigger schools, you go get guys that that fill it up, the guys that have the potential, and just hasn't worked. You mentioned culture. The cultural fit is one of the tougher pieces. Is the other part that you mentioned there. So I think that's interesting. Maybe later we can hear about how he basically talked about his health and named heart attack in a way that we've never heard before.
Right, and in terms of the schematics and the X's and O's, he ran through all these different scenarios in which KU was uber successful, winning Big 12 championships, even winning national championships in various ways, different styles. So why the last 3 years has he been unable to identify the right style of play for his basketball team based on his personnel? I think that's the next step. And part of that's culture and NIL, and I think those are great points that he addresses, but we haven't seen him adjust to a team almost essentially on the fly. And it makes me wonder if maybe he's trying to cram too much in where the game could be a little bit more simplified on the offensive end of the floor. When he's talking high-low and three-point shooting and all those various things, yeah, he won national championships with that style, but with guys that had been within that offense for 2-3 years. So we'll have to touch more on that here in a little bit. But up next, countdown to kickoff, Oklahoma State. We are breaking down the Oklahoma State Cowboys today here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. What do we know? What don't we know? Some position battles to watch, injury updates, and more. And then Eric Bailey, the beat writer for the Tulsa World, joins us in about 20 minutes. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio, and we are brought to you by our friends at Modelo.
Jackson's in trouble now. David Bailey, he is a sack machine. Third and 8.
Back here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast channel. Ari Timken, James Westling with you. Countdown to Kickoff, a new series we rolled out a couple of weeks ago, inching closer to week 0, which is just 15 days away. Today we look at Oklahoma State, rock bottom last year, 1-11, their worst record in program history, 18 straight Big 12 losses. Mike Gundy was canned after a 1-2 start. They've got a new coach in Eric Morris. Nearly 20 former UNT players come with him to Stillwater. So what do we know? What do we not know about Oklahoma State? In terms of what we know, they're going to score a lot of points. They have 62 transfers. They have a top 10 portal class. But 96% of their expected production will be new players this season on both sides of the ball. So there's a lot of question marks in terms of can it all come together, and can the North Texas players come close to matching the type of offensive production they had last year in the American, now in the Big 12.
Yeah, what we know this is not the 1-11 team. That's point blank, full stop, that's it. We know that this is not the same team in any single way. They play in the same stadium. They have the same practice facility. They're in Stillwater. The jerseys are the same. That's about it. Footballs will they have the same logo. Like, that's the same. Nothing else is the same, though. This is not the same program that has not won an FBS game since September of 2024. 18 straight conference games. This is not that same team. We also know that they're pretty good at the skill positions. Now, whether or not those guys continue to be good and play at a high level in the jump from North Texas to Oklahoma State remains to be seen, but I'm confident they will. Drew Mestemaker, Wyatt Young, Caleb Hawkins, the big three from North Texas. I'd say that they're pretty good. And that doesn't even mention some of the other guys that we've been talking about in the lead up to this. So I'd say their skill position players are pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. What we don't know.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
We know that this offense is built to run at a pace that nobody in this league has ever seen. The North Texas squad snapped it roughly every 24.5 seconds last season. They ranked 110th nationally in time of possession. They were the only offense in the country to average more than 500 yards per game and were 110th nationally in time of possession. They play fast. Jacob Unruh from the Oklahoman filmed a camp sequence in which Oklahoma State ran 4 clean game speed plays in under a minute. 4 plays. Fast.
Wow.
Go faster. Faster. Go fast. I just see Eric Morris like, faster. Faster.
All right.
You know that too.
What we don't know. Ton of questions surrounding the defense. There aren't a lot of household names on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, we know the skill positions, we know the quarterback, we know the running back, we know the receivers are all going to be really good, although I have yet to identify who wide receiver 2 is going to be because they have a ton of depth. But for me, it's the offensive line because they have an entirely new offensive line. Only one player comes back from last year, Jacoby Sanders, who started the last 6 games at right guard. They don't know who their 5 starters are going to be because they don't have Tyler Mercer's probably their anchor at center, the KU transfer who transferred from North Texas before he went to Lawrence. He's probably the lock. Everybody else is pretty much wide open. They don't have a standout offensive lineman transfer, but they have a bunch of guys that have a lot of experience, albeit from North Texas or Portland State or New Mexico State, or their right tackle is a transfer from Michigan State, who's projected right now to be the backup, Coastal Carolina. It's a completely new offensive line. I think that has to work for the offense to be able to play at the speed that you just identified.
Yeah, Eric Morris said at the start of camp, he said, and I want to quote him, "We feel good about 7-8 offensive linemen right now, and we need to have continuity." So, I mean, has he found his offensive line? We don't know about the offensive line. We also don't know if what Skylar Cassidy did last year as the defensive coordinator is sustainable. And we don't know if the 4-2-5 works in the Big 12 anymore. I think that, more than anything, is one of the bigger pieces here is John Haycock, the former Iowa State defensive coordinator now at Penn State with Matt Campbell, invented this rush 3, drop 8. It's taken over college football, but now we start to see the Big 12 in particular shift back to more of a traditional 3-4, which is you're going to have 3 linebackers on the field. You're not in a base nickel, which is pretty much what a lot of Colorado, we saw they're shifting away from that. Cincinnati was a team that did that 4-2-5 drop, rush 3, drop 8 base. Now, nickel base. Now they're going to be running more of a 3-4. So Skylar Cassidy comes in. They're going to run that 4-2-5. Can they stop the run? Because if you are only rushing 3 and you're having 2 linebackers, that's a front 5 versus a front 7. Do you have enough in the numbers game to be able to stop the run man on man for the most part? In some cases, even less than that. So that, to me, we don't know. We don't know if the defense is going to work, the defensive line, if this 4-2-5 defense can work anymore. I think all of the question marks are on the defensive side of the football for this team.
Very much so. And the defensive line is a huge question mark.
Yes.
They do have a very underrated linebacker in Ethan Weslowski, who is the top tackler at North Texas. He also was the 3rd highest Pro Football Focused grade among all linebackers with 400 or more snaps last year. So of the guys that hit that benchmark and were on the field more than anybody else in the country, he led the American Conference in overall grade, and he was 3rd best in the nation. He had 113 tackles. He had 9 TFLs. He had a pick. He had 2 forced fumbles. Almost Jacob Rodriguez-type numbers, but at North Texas. The other thing, as we look at what has to happen for them to contend, they have, according to Bill Connolly, Connolly. I knew it.
Threw an R in there.
Sometimes that happens.
Sorry, I didn't have to stop you there. It was kind of
I also like to say Washington. They have the 11th toughest, which means they have an easier schedule in the Big 12. The 11th toughest means there's only 5 teams that have an easier schedule than Oklahoma State. And I think that we're kind of misguided by the fact that they play Oregon and a sneaky game at Tulsa to open the year. Once they get into Big 12 play, there are wins that are coin flip type games for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I actually have beating Tulsa as one of the things for them to contend. Tulsa should be pretty good this year, and obviously Tulsa beat them last year, but that doesn't happen very often and shouldn't happen this year. That was like my first one. Like, how can Oklahoma State compete? Beat Tulsa on September 5th. That's a good start. I think we talk about Skylar Cassidy, the defense. One of the things they did really well was they gave up a lot of yards, but they did have a lot of turnovers. And so that, if that travels, that could be a deadly piece for them in terms of their defense. Because we saw, Arizona was so good defensively because they turned teams over last year. If they could do that and continue to do that, they've got some ball hockey players coming with Skylar Cassidy. I think that certainly is one of them. And then the other one is the workload for Caleb Hawkins, something we talked about yesterday. Can they manage that a little bit? Are they going to have other backs that emerge that can kind of keep him fresh throughout the year? I think that'll be huge because he did seem to break down as the year went on because he's not exactly a make you miss kind of guy.
Right. He's an elusive bruiser. All right, camp battles to watch. A couple of positions. I highlighted the offensive line earlier. I look at the secondary. That's a big unknown to me. They have Mo Horn, who they spent top dollar on to get him. He was at Texas Tech last year. He's an Oklahoma native. He's from Tulsa, so he's coming back home. But also missed some time last season. And then LaDainian Fields is another corner that they're really excited about. Colin Lewis had the 7th highest grade among transfer corners in the entire country. So I look at the secondary, the offensive line, and then who's going to be a wide receiver too. How about you?
Yeah, offensive line, number one. Talked about the quote that we heard from Eric Morris at the start of camp. They've got 7 or 8 guys they feel good about. And then I'm also interested in nickel and linebacker. It's huge roles within this defense. Obviously Weslowski is your number one off-ball linebacker in this 4-2-5, but do you have a rotation of 4 that you feel good about you could rotate in? And then do you have a third if you need to play more traditional 3 linebackers? And then at nickel, Epps, some of these other guys, we'll see who emerges there. Those are the battles that I'm watching for.
Wide receivers, interesting to me because we know about Wyatt Young, 1,200 yards last year. second most in North Texas history, had a Pro Football Focus grade that was third in the country. Then who's going to be the other wideout? Is it Justin Bowick, who was on Bruce Feldman's freaks list, but he only caught 22 passes at Illinois last year? Or is it Chris Barnes, the 5'7" slot wide receiver, who somebody noted him that we had on, it wasn't Eric Bailey, it was another guest a couple of weeks ago, about just how elusive he is. He was at Wake Forest and was kind of buried by the fact that Wake Forest wasn't very good. And then they also have Miles Coleman, who's coming with Eric Morris, but Miles Coleman was wide receiver number 2 at North Texas. And the thought is, because he's only 5'6", that he's going to be like their primary special teams punt returner, kick returner, but he has ridiculous track speed. They love to use him in a lot of screen plays. He was high school teammates with Drew Mestemaker, so like those two go way back. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the second leading receiver.
Well, and safety's the other one. After practice, Cassidy listed 5 players competing. Miami transfer Markeith Williams, Quentin Hammonds from North Texas, Mose Phillips from Missouri, and Evan Jackson from North Texas. So we'll see.
Wide open. A lot of positions wide open in Stillwater. Our guest is Eric Bailey from the Tulsa World to get the inside on Oklahoma State's first week at camp. He'll join us next. He's Ari, I'm James. We are brought to you, the Full-Time Fan, by our friends at Modelo, where there is no off-season. The off-season only means research, exclusively on TuneIn and on Big 12 Studios.
Down and 7, middle run. That had the look of a 4-down play sequence. We'll see if they are going for 4 down below the 35 of Baylor. Baylor's defense has been able to do.
Levitt, blitz coming. It could have been worse. Jackie Marshall finally will get credit for the sack.
Jackie Marshall, just watch him, not truly rushing, right? Kind of just waiting to see what he does. He corrals him, grabs that right leg, and puts him to the ground. Little play action. Hoover, eyes downfield. This dump at the last moment to Rogers.
Eric Bailey joins us to break down the Oklahoma State Cowboys. He is our go-to guy from the Tulsa world. Eric, good morning, and how's camp?
Hey, camp, we're at the midway point, guys. It's at that point when the excitement of starting camp is over. You still have a couple weeks before the season opener, so it's one of those things where, hey, just got to get through it, get to that first week. But I tell you, it's been a lot of fun. The vibe is exciting. I'm enjoying it. I think everyone's ready for a game, though. I think we're at that point right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's been so much talk about this offense this offseason. Let's talk about the defense. Are you a believer in Skylar Cassidy and the personnel of this defense?
You know, we had a chance to talk to Skylar yesterday, and he's 31 years old, and you can really sense the enthusiasm and the excitement that he has for taking over a program, getting to a Power 4 league, getting to the Big 12. He really is excited, and it's a large chore when you think about it. What he's doing, he's taking over a defense with so many new players, and he's trying to get them all to buy in, to bond, trying to get them all the pieces to fit. You know, he has a lot of North Texas players that came with him, so that's a good sign because they understand what he wants. That's going to be a key. And, you know, when you have such a fast-paced offense, you're going to be on the field a lot. We've seen that a lot, and he understands that. And that was one of the questions we asked him yesterday. We asked him, you know, you're going to be on the field a lot. Are you going to be able to maintain that? You know, do you have the depth to do that? And his answer was, we don't care what it looks like. We don't care about the stats. We just want to win the game. And he understands that, you know, there may be some crazy high-scoring 41-38 games, but the key is just to win the football game. He's not going to be involved with stats. He just wants to get off the field and get the ball back to the offense, and that's going to be the key. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, especially in year one when you went through the transfer portal, you got some players, and you're going to see how it all plays out and how it fits. It's going to be interesting.
Eric, Drew Mestamaker led the nation in passing yards last year, but then he said he felt like he was actually a little bit more conservative last year than he could have been. So what does that mean for this season?
You know, that caught me off guard because we asked the question. My original question to him was, you know, when you're a young quarterback, do you feel like you take risk when you're throwing the football? And his answer caught me off guard. He said, no, I think I was probably too conservative. I said, wow, you know, really? He said, yeah. He said, I think I left a lot on the table. So over the spring, he said that he worked on taking a little bit more risk. And that was something that him and Sean Brophy and Eric Morris worked on, you know, understanding what he can do when he throws the ball downfield. And that they want some more downfield shots. And Eric Morris didn't really buy that. He said, you know, when you lead the nation in passing yards, you're not a conservative quarterback. But I think with the weapons that he's going to have, they have a really talented wide receiver core coming in this year, and it's just trying to get them all to mesh. I think he will have the ability to take some risk. Now, the key is going to be the offensive line. Is he going to have time to really get the ball downfield? Is he going to have to get the ball out of his hands fast? I think that's going to be something that we're going to have to yet to be seen. It depends on how fast this offensive line can mesh. That's going to be key. But I think you will see some downfield throws. He has some speedy guys on the outside, so it's going to be curious to see how this passing game is going to evolve. But I tell you, the ball comes out of his hands. What we've seen in fall camp, the ball really comes out of his hands fast. He really makes really good throws. I'm really excited to see how Oklahoma State's going to use him in terms of the pass game and what Eric Morris is going to draw up.
What do you notice about Eric Morris?
Excitement and enthusiasm. And it really is infectious. You can really tell that not only with the players but with the coaching staff. And this coaching staff did come with him from North Texas, so it's nothing that they haven't seen. But he really has been exciting. The players really feed off that. And and in terms of the media, he probably tells us more than he probably should, which I'm not going to complain about, because he's so exciting when he comes to the press conferences. He really gives us, I don't want to say he gives us a full depth chart, but he really is open with us. The very first practice that he came to, he told us that there were, first practice of fall camp, he told us that they lacked a little bit of toughness. There were football players that didn't finish the first practice because the heat got to them,
Wow.
and he was not happy with that. He told us that we're going to fix that, and he even mentioned that these players are starting to get paid to play college football, and they should have came in. Probably he hinted that they should have came in ready to play football, and he said we're going to fix this. There's a toughness element to this too. So he really is open when he talks about his players, and I as a sports journalist, I really appreciate his openness. Now, how long will that last? We'll see. There's still a honeymoon period with this job. He hasn't been here a year yet, a calendar year yet. But you can really tell the excitement's there. He's ready to play football. He has yet to coach a football game yet. The fan base hasn't seen him coach a football game. We haven't seen him coach a football game. But he's excited. But as far as what he's doing, this is his third stop as a head coach taking over a program. So he's done this before. He understands what elements there are in putting a team together. So this isn't his first time starting a football team, taking over and going week one. So he's done this before. I'm kind of excited to see what week one's going to hold.
He was also very open talking about the position battles and depth chart pieces. So who were the groups that he highlighted?
Linebacker was the one that he really talked about. He has four linebackers that, that he's kind of keeping an eye on. And, the one linebacker that everyone thought he's going to count on, of course, and that he will count on, is Ethan Wisłowski from North Texas. Wisłowski was, second team All American Conference pick, and he has a group of four that he's going to play at linebacker. He's really got some really good talent there. But it's just like, who's he going to play there, because he has so many guys to rotate through. It's not who he's going to play, but who's going to start. And it's a good problem to have when you have so much talent there. You got Trip White, you got Dallas Winter Johnson, you got guys like Tate Romney. I'm trying to think of the games. Isaiah Chisholm. You got guys that you can play and rotate through there at that position, and it's a good problem to have. But it's trying to figure out which guys are you going to play. And but when you think about depth, and we go back to what Skylar Cassidy said, when you're playing a lot of snaps, especially if you're getting the guys back on offense, or getting the ball back to your offense, and you might have to get back on the field pretty quick, it's probably a good problem to have. And then you got your wide receivers too, because you're going to have so many guys that are going to play. And that's something that I asked Sean Brophy yesterday too. I said, when you have the potential, and we've yet to play a game, guys. That's the one thing. These guys come in with a lot of stats. You have the potential to have some 100-yard receivers. Do you check your egos at the door? Because they have a lot of guys that have put up a lot of stats and have the ability to catch a lot of balls. Wide receivers, I said, you have to check your egos at the door, and that's something Sean Brophy said, that he really thinks that that's a good thing. You got some guys that I think are going to put some stats up this year, especially in this offense, because Eric Morris has proven that these guys can put up a lot of stats. Wyatt Young, Justin Bowick from Illinois, Chris Barnes from Wake Forest. I think Israel Polk from Akron is going to have a good year. Miles Coleman is coming from UNT as well. All these guys are going to catch a lot of balls, and I think that's a position group where there's going to be a lot of battles for balls, trying to catch footballs, and I really think that that's going to be key too. I don't know who's going to, in any given week, who's going to catch passes from Drew Mestamaker. I think that's another position group where you're going to see some battles, and I'm kind of curious to see how that all plays out as well.
Eric, is that the strength in terms of positional groups on this team?
I think so. I really do. I think, and that's just a product of Eric Morris's system and what he's bringing from North Texas, where he's able to spread the wealth a little bit, and he's able to, the good thing about that, it's going to play itself out. I really do think that that's what's going to happen at that position, because any given week you're going to have some guys that are going to emerge, and it's going to happen. But I think the constant in that group is Wyatt Young, who was an all Big 12 preseason first team selection. That's a big sign of respect, because He's a newcomer. He's a newcomer to the league, but the coaches voted him as a preseason first-team pick. That's someone that Drew Mestamaker feels comfortable with. That's someone that he's already has a bond with, and I think that's huge because no matter what happens, I think Mestamaker has that chemistry with him, has that comfortability with him, where when things get tough, 3rd and 7, he needs a catch, he's going to feel comfortable with Wyatt Young. I think that's going to be the one constant in that position group, and that's going to allow him to really, really kind of, when things are tough, he knows he has Wyatt Young there.
Eric, what do you think are some of the biggest trap games on Oklahoma State's schedule? Because, we just noted that once they get into league play, they have the 11th toughest schedule out of 16 teams. But I think everybody sees Oregon, even at Tulsa. Week 1 is a little bit dicey. So which matchups stand out to you?
I really think that the Tulsa game, of course, is the opener. I think they want to get a little revenge for last year. Last year's Tulsa game was the one that really got Mike Gundy fired. When you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, that was Mike Gundy's last game as head coach. Oregon, it is what it is. I mean, you're playing the number 2 team in the country. I really don't think you just want to go out there and compete with Oregon. If you had a trap game, West Virginia, I think if you want to go, you really to set the tone for the season. I really think that's the game where you really, really need to go there and try to get a win, because that not only sets up the Big 12 season, it's on the road. It's probably your first really true road game, because I think there's going to be more OSU fans than Tulsa fans at that season opener. I really think if you had to pick a trap game or a game you need to win, it's that West Virginia game. That's your true road game. It's your Big 12 opener. And after that West Virginia game, you get an off week. And after that West Virginia game, you can really sit back and reassess what the third of the season has been like. You can reassess what you need to fix, and you can get ready for that 8-week stretch that's coming up where you don't have any more bye weeks, where you play 8 straight weeks of football. So I think that fourth game after that West Virginia game, that's the game. That's the one you go to Morgantown. And if you're an OSU fan, you really hope it's a day game. You don't want a night game. You hope it's an 11 a.m. game in West Virginia, where you can really just kind of play that game and get out of there and get ready for the final 8 weeks of the season.
All right, so are you a believer here, Eric? I mean, where do you have them in the Big 12?
I really think that they're going to be middle of the pack. Maybe I really think this is a good schedule for Oklahoma State. I really think that they don't see Texas Tech, they don't see Arizona State, they don't see K-State. Really, the only tough Big 12 team they see in the first at the beginning of the schedule is Houston. They don't see Iowa State or Kansas State, Texas Tech, and Arizona State until November. So I really think that they can, if they play to their potential, if they have no injuries, if the offense can click, they can really, really set them up for bowl eligibility. I really am a believer in this team. It's mainly based on Drew Mestamaker and the offense. The defense is the one thing I have question marks about. Because I really think we're going to see some 41-38 games.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be kind of crazy. So I see them having a winning season. I see 6-6, 7-5. I think they're going to win a game they're not supposed to win. I think they're going to lose a game they're not supposed to lose. But I really see them around that 6-6, back to bowl eligibility, which is a big step from these past 2 years when you think about it. I mean, this is a program. You look at what they've done over the past 2 seasons. I mean, it's a huge step. So I think that even just talking bowl eligibility is huge compared to what they've done over the past 2 years.
Oh yeah, definitely. Eric, real quick before we let you go, when's the first high school football Friday in the state of Oklahoma?
Oh gosh, next. Golly, you put me on the spot. I'm so college think. Oh man, I believe it's next Friday. I want to say. I know for sure I got my calendar right here. The 28th. You guys are killing me, man. That's gonna be a high school game. You talk about throwing me a curveball.
Hey,
oh my God!
I was about to ask if it was August 28th or September 4th.
I think it is. No, I know for a fact it is August 28th.
Okay.
Yeah, I know for a fact there is high school football on August 28th.
Okay.
Because I know for a fact it is August 28th. We will have high school football on August 28th. I know for a fact that day. Um, I know we will have August 28th football
Okay, that's good enough.
because yeah. So I'm so locked in on OSU, man. You guys, you threw one by me there, guys.
Oh, didn't mean to put you on the spot, Eric. You are the
No,
best,
you're
man.
good.
We love having you
All
on.
right.
You are all over this Oklahoma State training camp, so we appreciate your coverage.
All right. You guys have a good weekend, okay? Try to find some air conditioning.
Working on it.
You too, bud. Thank you.
Eric.
All right. See you.
Eric Bailey, the Oklahoma State beat writer for the Tulsa World, joining us here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Coming up next, are we throwing in a new debate segment on a Fanatic Friday? A little this or that? Here for it. Let's do it. That's coming up around the corner. We are brought to you by Modelo here on TuneIn.
How did he get that off? How does McAllister stay up and keep cruising? Unreal! Hoover, McAllister, can you believe it? 2nd and 5, pressure up the gut, looking for and finding a tailgate. It's McAllister, picking him up, putting him down, touchdown, TC. He's put forward 205-pound transfer from Boise State, has been chomping at the bit to make a play. He goes on the go route, a perfect back shoulder, and the rest is all him. He is striking out down the sideline for a touchdown. Time for Hoover, delivers a strike. McAllister, off and running. Eric McAllister for the TCU touchdown. In football, Josh Hoover's going to get it to Eric McAllister on a 5-yard slant. But Jalen Davis Robinson, number 11, or number 13, and Jaden Milner-Jones, number 11, both missed tackles. McAllister, look out! Eric McAllister, touchdown TCU, 85 touchdown reception this year for McAllister, who's missed some games recently. What a response. I mean, he just runs right past him, and a perfect throw by Hoover.
We are back here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. I'm James Westling with the ghost of Ari Timken. He'll be back here in just a moment. We've got T-Chains on the controls on the board. We've got Anthony Smith behind the camera. Mike Buddy, the TCU athletic director, he'll be on us at 8:30.
Yes, sir.
He'll be with us in about a half hour. So we've got a little extended time here for this or that.
Yay.
We'll also, later on this hour, Bill Connolly from ESPN and SP Plus. He's got mixed reviews on the Big 12. We'll break down his numbers. There he is. I was doing the show with your shadow, and we had a lovely time.
That set looks great with my name on it and
Right?
an empty chair.
Yeah.
It's like a metaphor for something. I was going to the bathroom. I thought I was doing fine on time.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. There's no rush. We've got all day.
It happens, says the guy who it's never happened to.
It's almost happened. To be fair, that felt like a shorter break. Taman, I'm looking at you.
I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Wesley.
No offense, Taman, it's all your fault.
I see how it is. I see how. You know
I wasn't
what?
going to go there,
It's-
but yeah.
It's because I didn't let you win yesterday,
Yeah.
and you know.
Let's get to this or that.
We took it personal. All right, this or that. News segment. It's debate time. We've got 5 topics. Passing yards, passing touchdowns, starts, rushing yards, receptions, all the deep dive numbers. Ari, you came up with these, right?
So, yeah, this is a fun little segment because the Black Sheep said the choice is yours. You could deal with this or you could deal with that.
Now, can we both take the same answer?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the winner. There's only one answer here for each of these. Right? You can't have multiple. I mean, what are you, crazy?
All right, let's do it. T-Chains, guide us through.
All right. So our first topic is on this or that. Who will have more passing yards this season? Will it be Josh Hoover of Indiana or Drew Mestemaker of Oklahoma State University?
Who has more passing yards, Drew Mestemaker or Josh Hoover?
You tell me.
I think it's Mestemaker, and it's not close. Mestemaker obviously led all of FBS in passing yards last year and passing touchdowns. And even though, Josh Hoover could be in for a really successful season, Fernando Mendoza attempted 23.7 passes per game last season in Cignetti's offense. So, Cignetti is going to limit the amount of throws his quarterback is making. That's a part of why he thinks and why he's able to get quarterbacks to have some of their best years is they're not going to turn the ball over as much because they're not going to pass as much. Hoover was a very high-volume passer at TCU. He's going to be much less volume at Indiana. Now, with that being said, this was not how many, passing attempts do you have? It's passing yards, so will they be less attempts but more effective? That's the question, but I still think it's Mestemaker.
Yeah, for me, it's Mestemaker too, and I don't think it's close. Mestemaker, even last year in a pass-happy TCU offense, Mestemaker had almost 1,000 more yards passing, which puts into perspective just how dynamic he was as a tosser. 4,400 yards last year. Josh Hoover had barely over 3,400 yards. Now, 2 years ago, Josh Hoover was like 50 yards away from getting to that 4,000-yard benchmark at TCU, so he's capable of putting up those type of numbers. But to your point, Fernando Mendoza in 16 games threw for 3,500, about what Hoover did in 4 less chances.
And he won the Heisman Trophy, was the number 1 overall pick.
So his average yards per game were only 220. So Mestemaker, in terms of yards per contest, even if Hoover plays in additional games because Indiana's in the college football playoff, I still take Mestemaker having more yards, not more wins or more completion percentage or any of the other metrics, but yards, like Mestemaker, he could be pushing 5,000 this season, which hasn't been done since those Texas Tech air raid offenses of the late 2000s.
All right.
This or that?
Yeah, topic number 2 on this or that. Who will have more passing touchdowns, Devin Dampier of Utah or Jaden Craig of TCU?
All right, let's just if Taman's gonna be doing this, we gotta train Taman a little bit. You just say this or that, more passing touchdowns, Devin Dampier or Jaden Craig.
Got it.
Bam.
This or that. See, it's simple.
It's the urgency angle.
You can deal with this or you can deal with that.
Yeah. All right. Devin Dampier or Jaden Craig, more passing touchdowns.
More passing touchdowns.
Oh, these are because Jaden Craig at TCU, they're not going to be throwing the ball like they have been in the past. It is going to be more like the Utah offense, which leans on your ground game, ball control, more possession time, less plays per contest. But with that said, I'm still going with Jaden Craig. I think Jaden Craig, with his efficiency, he doesn't turn it over. He's got Jordan Dwyer, a clear wide receiver number 1. And just first of all, with the new offensive coordinator, Gordon Samus, Joe Fignano still had like 30 touchdowns in a ball control, run-first offense. So Jaden Craig will be throwing the football. It just won't be 40 times a game like TCU has in the past.
Yeah, this one is obvious. It's clearly Devin Dampier. And by the way, what I love about this question is Dampier had 24 passing touchdowns last year. Jaden Craig had 25. But Dampier played in the Big 12 last year, yes?
I think, yeah.
Jaden Craig played in the Big 12 last year?
He played in the Ivy League.
Yeah. So,
This is the perfect pair for your iPhone. It replaces
all right, thank you. So I think 24 touchdowns in the Big 12 versus 25 touchdowns in the Ivy League. And look, I'm a believer in Jaden Craig, but give me Devin Dampier, who Bill Connolly ranks as his number 12 quarterback in all of college football. I think Devin Dampier will have more passing touchdowns than Jaden Craig, but these are two high-volume rush offenses. So the passing touchdowns questions was done on purpose.
All right, next one, guys. Who will have more starts?
This or that.
This
more
or that.
starts.
This or that. More starts. Scotty Fox or Isaiah Marshall?
This or that. This or that.
Taven's in the pressure cooker. I'm here for it.
James, Isaiah Marshall or Scotty Fox?
You've got the lead on this one. Rock chalk.
First, I want you to talk about this, though. Give us your insight into this question.
Scotty Fox started about half of the games last year for West Virginia. He was Big 12 Freshman of the Week a couple of times. West Virginia went 2-2 in their last 4 games with him at quarterback. Isaiah Marshall is battling for the starting quarterback job at Kansas with a guy that was there last year and has been in the system, Cole Ballard, like Scotty Fox has been at West Virginia. But he's being pushed by Michael Hawkins, the Oklahoma transfer, former 4-star, started some games as a true freshman 2 years ago, started their bowl game and had his best game in the bowl last season. So, Fox or Marshall?
Right, and Isaiah Marshall is in his 3rd year at Kansas. He redshirted. He's a redshirt sophomore, but hasn't really seen the field much. So I think both of these guys seem to take a back seat to presumptive starters of Michael Hawkins and Cole Ballard. So the question is, which of these won't be taking a back seat to those presumptive starters, and or are there injuries that thrust these guys into the lineup? I'm going to say that Isaiah Marshall has more starts than Scotty Fox does. And for me, the reason for that is because I'm more confident that Michael Hawkins takes that job and is firm in it. I'm less confident in that with Cole Ballard and Isaiah Marshall. These are two guys that are familiar with Andy Kotelnicki's offense. They've been around the system. I think Marshall has more of the upside in terms of the rush ability. There's just question about his ability to throw the ball down the field. Cole Ballard can make a lot of the throws, but I think it's Isaiah Marshall that ends up having more starts.
Whew, man, this is tough. I'll take Scotty Fox.
It's only getting tougher, by the way.
I'll take Scotty Fox, even though multiple outlets are reporting that he's currently QB2, that Michael Hawkins has leapfrogged him as QB1. Whereas in the spring, like Michael Hawkins was really struggling to get a feel for the offense. He was missing on a lot of routine throws, but it sounds like he's settled in. He is more talented than Scotty Fox. At Kansas, and the reason I take Fox, it's more by default because I wouldn't be shocked to see Cole Ballard win the job and keep the job. I remember what he did as a true freshman in the Sunflower Showdown, where he played a lot like Rocco Becht, which is the comp that Lance Leipold gave us. Jason Bean is kind of that same way, where I hate to use the term game manager, but that's what you need in Andy Kotelnicki's offense. You don't need a guy that's going to be turning the ball over.
Conductor.
A conductor, yes.
I think game manager gets a bad connotation. All good quarterbacks are game managers to a degree. You've got to conduct. You got to get the ball to the right spots.
Conductor, I like that. I'm banking that one. That's going in the vocabulary chart. So I could see Ballard winning the job and keeping the job, and if Kansas has a bowl-type season, that would be the case.
All right, next one. This or that, more rushing yards. Devin Dampier or Jacoby Williams?
Oh, he killed it. Did you hear that? This or that.
That is it.
More rushing yards, Jacoby Williams in a busy backfield at Texas Tech versus Devin Dampier. Last year, Dampier, 835 yards on 146 carries. Jacoby Williams, 868 yards on 155 carries. Same efficiency, same volume, virtually a locks. Who has more? Will it be the guy in the busy backfield? You could also make a case that Dampier has a busy backfield as well with Wayshawn Parker. What other running backs could emerge for Utah? And then, of course, Bird Ficklin. Who has more rushing yards?
I'm going Devin Dampier because Jacoby Williams will be sharing carries with two other guys. And while Devin Dampier will also be sharing carries essentially with Bird Ficklin, his backup, and Wayshawn Parker, RB1, Devin Dampier takes just about every snap. And so there's more opportunities for him to take off and run. I don't think either guy hits 800 yards this season. Dampier, I think, is going to be much more involved as a passer in Kevin McGibbon's new offense. And with Jacoby Williams, Quentin Joyner's just out there hanging around. This guy that averaged 8 yards per carry back-to-back seasons at USC and is a former 5-star. Then you've got Cameron Dickey, who was their bell cow last year. Now, I think Williams will still be on the field, but I see him more as like a pass-catching weapon out of the backfield. So in terms of touches, I didn't realize Williams had so many yards last year. It's a lot of yards.
Yeah. Dampier is coming off a surgery he had in January for that sports hernia. And you're still going with Dampier, huh?
Yeah, I'm still going Dampier.
No, Dampier is the answer.
All right.
Although they both, again, like busy back. Like we talk about the three-headed monster at Texas Tech, and there are other guys potentially. Again, another year, there's maybe other guys that can emerge. They had freshmen that are stepping up, whatever. But underrated, Dampier has a busy backfield too. And I think these are two teams that will be committed to running the football. I also wonder how much Will Hammond will run the football. Remember, the quarterback run was not an option last year for Texas Tech. Could very well be in play this year. So, Devin Dampier is the answer here, but it's an interesting thought experiment. Because that backfield at Texas Tech, it's like, which one emerges? I think Jacoby Williams could end up having a better year, but for Texas Tech, that might mean less yardage than he had last year.
Totally.
All right, guys. Final one. This or that. More receptions, Jordan Dwyer or Danny Scudero?
Ooh. All right, so remember, Danny Scudero led FBS in receiving last year, and Jordan Dwyer was caught in a situation with Eric McAllister, who's gone now. Meanwhile, Scudero, it's like they flip-flopped. So Scudero goes from a spot where he was the guy to now a busy wide receiver room, whereas Jordan Dwyer's the guy. Now, Ed Small will probably factor in. There's other guys, but Dwyer's the guy.
Okay, more receptions, Jordan Dwyer or Danny Scudero.
More receptions.
Not more yards, not more touchdowns, not more targets, more receptions. For me, it's Jordan Dwyer, and I don't think it's close. Even though Scudero had, to your point, 88 catches last year, he had about 35 more grabs than Jordan Dwyer. But I go back to Gordon Samus, the new OC at TCU. The offense he ran at UConn. Handed it off to like 3 or 4 running backs, and then they had a favorite wideout that they zeroed in on. It was Skylar Bell. Skylar Bell caught 101 passes last year, like insane numbers. Got drafted in the NFL draft, the transfer from Wisconsin. He did that at UConn. Jordan Dwyer, with his body, his frame, wouldn't be surprised if he's at 80, 90, 100 grabs because he is the clear-cut wide receiver number 1. And when he was wide receiver number 1 at Idaho 2 years ago, he had 80 grabs. So I go Dwyer. Scudero, I think, is going to be the shifty slot guy in that new go-go offense, which runs the ball a lot more than people think. Like UNLV was a monster on the ground. Shout out Monster Energy.
Well, and I think what's also interesting about this is the fact that these are expected to be two maybe lower volume passing teams, which is a complete departure from what they've been. Like, you think about both TCU and Colorado, last couple of years they've been very high volume, very inefficient running the football, both of them. And now, here are two potentially big-time receivers, and but in offenses that will be probably more rush-heavy, especially that TCU offense. I'm trying to see. You said 100 receptions. Okay, so yeah, Skylar Bell was at 101. You already said that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Skylar Bell was at 101. Number 2 is a guy at 40. Murphy at 40. So that was just like totally skewed to one receiver.
Yeah.
In the same way that Scudero was. It's hard though to predict because Scudero is in the Mount West. I mean, it's similar when you like are at a lesser level. It's harder to have a bunch of high volume receivers. I'm gonna go with Dwyer here. To me, there's too many cooks in the kitchen at Colorado, and not to say that there isn't a TCU too, because they've got a bunch, but I just feel like they're more well identified in terms of like slot, outside, that sort of stuff. And Dwyer is like your legit one, whereas Scudero, I think it'll be just to see where they line him up.
So I called a UConn game last year, and I've called 3 games that Gordon Samus coordinated for his last stop to, and his offense is really fun. Okay, he was at William and Mary, an FCS school, and they were running all kinds of trick plays, and it's that zone read, like zone inside Denver Broncos style rushing. So what they were doing at UConn was it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, right? Like there's a lot of boring football that comes with that. 3, 4 yards, you're punting, but then all of a sudden they just break one.
Yeah.
And they
or they go over the top on you.
Yep, they lull you to sleep, and that's what I think TCU is going to look like this year. Bill Snyder was a savant at Kansas State, and even like Oklahoma State, early Mike Gundy would kind of do the same thing, where all of a sudden, like you think you're watching a boring ball control offense, and then bam, they hit you with like a 60-yard bomb. That's what they were doing at UConn, and I see the same at TCU.
That's this or that. We should do this every Friday, huh?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Good ways to think about programs and what they're set up to do and players within those programs that we've been talking a ton about, right? It's one thing to say, like, who has more rushing yards, Caleb Hawkins or, pick another big-time running back in the Big 12. It's another thing to kind of look at the teams and figure out schematically what they're going to look like and kind of go the opposite way.
Once we got on the same page in terms of segment, production, all the things, once you got back from the bathroom,
I think that
once Taman figured out how to say this or that, it was flawless.
The next time we need a camera on Taman because he was moving with the groove. I liked it. We need Taman camera as well because he had the moves.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Nicely done, dude. Fist my bump.
Oh,
there
fist your bump.
Hey, let's circle back to Bill Self.
Bump your fist. You said zone inside. You're mixing things. It's called inside zone. Fist my bump.
Project.
Westling James.
I like shows.
Back quarter. Shows I like. You're like Yoda right now.
It's a Friday. Things aren't
zone inside.
Things aren't working. They're not working. All right. Sometimes the thoughts just don't flow.
No, it's good. You're Yoda. You just say things backwards.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And today is a don't day. Okay. We're powering through. Hey, do we have the clip from Bill Self talking about his health?
Yes.
Let's fire that baby up.
Was there ever a point, though, during that span where you were close to retiring?
There was a point where I thought that was what the doctors were going to tell me. I had some issues going back. I missed an NCAA tournament when we had a number 1 seed in 22, or in 23, excuse me.
Yep.
And blip on the radar.
Yep.
Then I had a couple other. Then I had a heart attack, a pretty significant one, and that was a little bit bigger blip on the radar. Then I had some complications from that, and I'm thinking, what am I doing? And then I realized what I was doing was easily correctable, and so that's where I'm at. So everybody, not everybody, but in our business, everybody looks for an advantage in some way, shape, or form, as everybody knows, to put whatever out there on a recruiting front or whatever. But here's the bottom line. I had some issues, and they gave me a clean bill of health, and I'm good to go.
He's good to go. He almost was not good to go. And that's 2 years in a row where he felt like his doctors were going to essentially shut him down and say, hey, man, you can't do this anymore.
It's the first time we've heard heart attack. Now, we've discussed it and we've named it, but any of the communication as it was going on from the KU side was incident or I'm just trying to think through like the exact verbiage, but heart attack was never mentioned. Even though we knew that's what it was, they would never mention it. It's the first time we've ever heard Bill Self say pretty bad heart attack. I thought the doctors weren't going to let me coach. It's really interesting too. His doctors are KU Med Center doctors. They're going to tell Bill Self not to coach?
Right.
Go out to California. Go see some doctors out in California. Like, who are you?
I got a
You're a
second
basketball
opinion.
coach? You know? Oh, you coach basketball at college? Oh, cool. Yeah, I don't know that you should do that anymore. But at KU, they're like, yeah, you're okay. You're good. No, I'm kidding. I'm to a degree, right?
Yeah. Well, the transparency or lack thereof with the Darren Peterson stuff all year long, I think kind of coincided with his own personal health and lack of transparency. We knew he was going through something, but now after the fact, it's interesting that he's very out in the open about it. And it just makes me wonder if did he learn something from the Peterson injury stuff where maybe just transparency is better in this new era where everybody's deep digging for information and social media and all the speculation.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday with Matt Campbell and Jimmy Rogers. It's very much an old school, new school approach. Kenny Dillingham, he's as transparent as it gets. I mean, I go back to Sam Levitt had an injury, and he basically told us like that day, yeah, he's not going to play that week. Whereas Matt Campbell said a guy was week to week that was clearly out for the entire season. Kyle Whittingham would do the exact same thing. Old school, new school. Transparency versus ambiguity. And you're right. Like, if you leave it ambiguous with Bill Self, suddenly you're looking at a situation in which, you know, you've got a lot of speculation in the same way that there was lots of speculation around Rocco Becht. So it does feel like, you know, do you have to be fully transparent? No, but when you think about transparency, it's maybe a little bit more transparent than the ambiguity that we've seen from lots of these coaches.
He did address the Darren Peterson saga.
The thing about, I will say this, and our best chance to be great was with Darren Peterson.
Right.
I mean, there was no doubt about that. The team that we had without Darren was competitive, could play with anybody. Could you win 4 games in the NCAA tournament? That would be really, really difficult to do. The team with Darren, if everything felt right, we could. So that was the direction we were going all along. So was it frustrating? I don't know if it was frustrating as much as it's like having your best player get 2 fouls in the first 2 minutes of both halves, and you're just kind of playing handcuffed the whole time. So I think we were kind of defensive playing as opposed to being probably knowing. I don't want to say roles, because roles were pretty well defined, but Melvin's role with Darren and Melvin's role without Darren was probably a little bit different, and the same with the other guys. And so I don't know that we ever hit stride, but we did have some great wins, though. I mean, and we had great wins without Darren, but we had some great wins with him too.
Well said. And guys like Melvin Council still fighting to be eligible this season, could be back for the Hawks. Trey White is another one who could be eligible. We'll break down some of the Big 12 basketball players that might be back because of that Colorado judge that ruled that anybody entering or graduating high school in 2022 could be eligible for this season or is eligible. Coming up next, though, TCU Athletic Director Mike Buddy is around the corner as we go around the horn with all the Big 12 ADs this month. Mike, after this timeout, we are brought to you by Modelo here on TuneIn and Big 12 Studios. Back here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. This is the Big 12 Conference. This is a different league. Ari Timken, James Westling with you. Watching us on Big 12 Studios, brought to you by our friends at Modelo. And another friend of ours is Mike Buddy, the TCU athletic director, who joins us now on the program to go over all the exciting things in Fort Worth. But also, like, Mike, you made, 3 trips to Capitol Hill this year? Are you tired of those flights? And I guess just you've been very outspoken about your take on the Protect College Sports Act and everything happening in D.C. So where do we start?
Well, I guess we start at the beginning. The question is, where is the beginning? I've been back and forth quite a few times. I do love going to the nation's capital. Great museums, great spot to go running through the National Mall. But walking through Capitol Hill, visiting offices, it's kind of like Groundhog Day. I give them credit. I mean, they make time for me and my colleagues, but I think that they probably feel like it's Groundhog Day. Like, how many times can we host an athletic director to tell us how desperately they need this? And I've been pretty candid with them and saying, hey, this has fallen to you because we have behaved like a bunch of third graders who can't agree on rules and, just can't come to consensus and do what's best for these young people. And so it's fallen to them. And now, now people are like, oh, Congress isn't going to do anything. And they've gone to recess. And I just feel like we should take some accountability, maybe a little bit better than we have.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I'd much rather be talking to you about the 1998 Yankees, but I'll get there. I will get there, than this, and certainly your football team and what's going on with your athletic department. But there was a piece from our friend Mac Engel of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. He's a Jayhawk. Big 12 athletic director offers grim view of pending college sports legislation. But one of the quotes in there from you talks about the need to bring the athletes to the table to discuss the future in federal legislation. I'm hoping you can expand on that.
Yeah, my old buddy Mac, right? I mean, I wish he hadn't written grim view, but
right.
To
be fair to Mac, he doesn't write his own. The writers don't write the headlines, and they've got to get page views. So, and that's my fault for reading the headline. It's not grim is probably too harsh.
Maybe it's not. I mean, reflecting on the conversation I had with Mac, and Mac is as well versed in all of this as anyone.
Right.
Maybe it is a grim view, but I also am a realist. And, you and I were talking offline, Ari, and it's, to me, if it's inevitable that the only way through this mess is to involve young people and student athletes and allow them to have a voice in some form or fashion, then I don't want to waste time. Like, right. If those of us in the positions of being able to make change, if we all feel like the only way that this is going to get blessed by all the lawyers, by all the elected officials, is to let the student athletes have a voice, then let's get them to the table as soon as possible. And, and I think that's kind of what Mac was saying. And that's been my belief. You alluded to the 98 Yankees. I mean, I am still a proud member of the Major League Baseball Players Association. And what we know is if there are two sides that need to come to a table, then both sides need to come to the table. And to this point, we, the adults, have kind of just continued to step on our own feet, in my opinion.
Yeah, and just to follow up there, because I mean, you're so right here. And look, it's not to say that like any form of collective bargaining would be easy. I think the easy part is identifying what you need to do. The hard part is everything that follows. But that doesn't mean it's not worth trying and doing, because we see these lawsuits. I mean, the docket of NCAA lawsuits is 30, 40 lawsuits that are ongoing right now. Like, we talk about a few of them on the show, but there's so many going on right now. And the only way to stop that is probably through some semblance of collective bargaining, which is something you've been talking about for quite some time.
Yeah, and the frustration from my level is we agreed to share our revenue, from football essentially,
right?
Which since the dawn of man, we have shared that revenue. We shared it with our tennis teams and our golf teams and our volleyball teams. And what frustrates me is, I'm cool with it. I love the philosophy of let's share that revenue with the young people, but we're sharing half of it with lawyers and agents. Like, there is a need for lawyers and agents, clearly. But, 80% of this should be going to the student athletes. We shouldn't be splitting it down the middle with lawyers and agents. But again, we've kind of created this mess, and we're the ones that are going to have to get us out of it.
Man, that's a great point. And Mike, do you find that in terms of others in your circle, other ADs or commissioners or whoever else, do you find that there is support for allowing the players to have a voice, and ultimately, like, who's pushing back the most on that?
He's pushing back. I mean, I know that there are some of us who are certainly more vocal about it. My challenge is in times of crisis like this, oftentimes people are afraid to speak up. And I think part of why we got into this crisis was, even though we knew it wasn't the right thing to do, we collectively made decisions in order to keep our jobs, which isn't a bad thing, right? I mean, people prefer to be employed than unemployed. But we do have to rock the boat a little bit, in my opinion. And so I'm trying to figure out who thinks it's not inevitable that student athletes have to have a voice. I mean, if you're not following social media, if you're not reading great content that's being put out by very articulate and intelligent people, then maybe. But it's kind of our job as athletic directors is to anticipate what's coming around the corner, understand the national landscape, have a clear understanding of reality as it is currently defined. And the one thing that I think we're 100% united on is, if this January portal opens up for football, we're in trouble. If the basketball portal opens up, we're all done. And that's true for Texas and Ohio State and Harvard and Tufts and everyone in between. We all agree that the current status is not going to be positive in the long run for anybody. And so I wish we all had a collective sense of urgency that doesn't seem to exist.
I would say, Mike, your resume has been built on, revenue and infrastructure growth in institutions that are at major structural disadvantages. I mean, Furman is a small school, the Army, obviously an incredible institution, but not exactly at the forefront of NIL. And I think in many ways that is where the Big 12 is, right? I mean, the Big 12 is looking to build revenue and infrastructure in a situation in which they are structurally disadvantaged relative to the SEC and the Big 10. What can this conference continue to do to make up for that in the same way that you've been able to do that successfully in multiple spots?
We certainly need to close the gap as much as possible. I mean, it's not a coincidence that Stanford won the Learfield Directors Cup 28 consecutive years as the most successful broad-based athletics department. And there's also no coincidence that 3 years ago, when we were allowed to start paying student athletes, a new sheriff entered town, the University of Texas, and they won 3 straight years. And that's not a knock on Texas. That's actually a pat on the back, right? They figured out they're investing extremely wisely, and it's paying off. So it is a new day and age. And so the Big 12, whether it's our commissioner being really aggressive and creative and innovative, trying to find ways to close that revenue gap through our Monster partnership, for example, and we sit in the room. We just need to win football games. I mean, basketball, we're in great shape. I still think this is by far, top to bottom, the best basketball conference in the country, and we have to find a way to close that gap. People kind of have embraced hating Texas Tech, but all they're doing is spending at a level that allows them to try to keep up. And whether it's jealousy or frustration or whatever, I wish that I had another $20 million to invest. But I also believe that I have a football coach and a football roster right now that, once all the deals are signed and the checks are written, you still have to get down there and play football. And what I learned in my 6 seasons at Army is you can pay kids zero, but if they're disciplined and tough and gritty and play as a cohesive unit, then, the checks don't matter at that point.
Mike Buddy, the AD at TCU, is with us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio and watching us on Big 12 Studios. Mike, I want to circle back to something you said about the transfer portal. And if it opens in January for football, we're in trouble. If it opens for basketball, we're done. You're talking about college athletics, but can you expand more on what you mean by that?
I mean, if you believe what you read, which I'm smart enough not to, if there are $30 and $40 million football rosters out there. The CSC has told us in plain terms, there's no way you're going to get $35 or $40 million worth of NIL deals approved. I mean, I think the average NIL deal is still $14,000. And so if that's true, come December 31st, you are going to have 500, 600, 700 college football players either suing their institution saying, I was promised $1.5 million. You gave me 700 of it in rev share. Where's my other 800? And a valid answer to that question is not CSC didn't approve any deals, because those deals should have been approved before you technically even offered that athlete a contract. So the schools are going to be in a tough spot, which is, I owe this kid $800,000. He can sue me publicly, or I can put $800,000 in the old proverbial brown paper bag and hand it to him.
Right.
And so that's going to be happening at a massive level. And to extrapolate that out, Brian Seeley has also exclaimed, if you have a $10, $12 million basketball roster, you really have no chance of getting those deals approved. And so, you know, if you weather the storm in football and somehow cover all of those massive NIL collective contracts, doing it again in basketball season is going to be tough, which frankly, I think is why a lot of schools are really pushing this retention pool that expands the 20.5 or 21.3 million now upwards to nearly 49 million, because that kind of gives them an escape hatch.
As much as I'd love to keep talking about this with you, and I would, we could sit here and talk about this for hours, quite frankly. I want you to highlight your athletic department, which is really, really good. I mean, soccer season's about to start. TCU women's soccer went to the College Cup last year, the Final Four. A couple years ago, beach volleyball in their first ever year won the national championship. Football has won 18 games over the last 2 years. Women's basketball has been unbelievable. So, yeah, just brag on your athletic department. You've done a fantastic job in hiring coaches and having success with the beach volleyball program. So, Mike, just brag on your athletic department here for a second.
Well, you did it for me.
Men's tennis, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, men's tennis, national runner-ups, our rifle program, national runner-ups, recent national champions, beach volleyball you mentioned. The only school in the history of the beach volleyball national championships. We're the only ones outside of the state of California to ever win. Yep. Pretty cool, right? Fort Worth, Texas. We're not taking a little van ride down to the beach in the ocean to get practice in. No. And really, it's a credit to the coaches and the young people who choose to come to TCU. You know, Sonny Dykes, you mentioned we won 9 games last year. We down the stretch, going to Houston and beating a really good Houston team, beating Cincinnati at home, and they were really strong early and faded a little bit later. And then to win the Alamo Bowl in overtime against Southern Cal really gave us a great piece of momentum heading into the offseason. We had 5 kids on our football team enter the transfer portal. I don't know what the national average was, but I promise you it's closer to 20, if not 25, 30. Yeah. And so it says a lot about our campus, our institution. Kids don't want to leave Fort Worth. They don't want to leave TCU. And, you know, you said hired some great coaches. You know, I have to fall on my sword. Jeremiah Donati had a great athletic department in place when he left to go to South Carolina. I haven't had to hire anybody because the stable of 16 head coaches that I inherited, not only are they really talented coaches and tacticians, they're great people. And that makes my job a lot easier, knowing that the kids may transfer because they can find a few more dollars elsewhere, but they're not transferring because they didn't find their experience at TCU to be extraordinary.
Well, maybe you didn't hire them, but you have locked in some contract extensions to keep those coaches in Fort Worth. We are really high on TCU football this year. Mike, like Ari said, man, we could keep you all day, but we'll let you break away. And thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Appreciate what you guys do.
Thank you.
Go Frogs.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike Buddy, the athletic director at TCU, here on Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo, watched on Big 12 Studios. Coming up next, some mixed reviews on Big 12 football according to SP+. We'll dive in. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Radio.
The second interception for the TCU just shy of the 45. Here's Greenwood to the perimeter with a first down. And into TCU territory, hit by Canada.
Comes out with a zone option here coming off. You see him holding the football there because he can throw the football. If Love makes a block there.
So he's come back this year, had to earn the job in fall camp, did so, and he's been great. This quick hitter from Wilson, and an immediate tackle in the open field. DeJon Stanley with the catch, but stopped well short. Wilson going to check down to the left. It's 1-on-2. A little hesitation move, and then Bernard gets shoved out of bounds.
Plays in the block here. Morton's pass. The out route complete, but short of the first down yardage.
Is Mayava floating into the end zone. It's intercepted by Canada. The second interception for the TCU defense.
There he is. 7 Jada Canada going up against the freshman Corey Sims. It was a nice shot for Canada, met the line of scrimmage, and then undercut him on the underthrown ball that Jaden Mayava just does not get enough horsepower on.
Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. Ren Baker, the West Virginia athletic director, will be our guest in the third hour of the show. He's Ari Timken on social at Ari Sports. That's ARI Sports. I'm James Westling on social at James Westling. Just had Mike Buddy, the TCU AD, just love his mindset. And he's a guy that knows a lot about players and Players Association. He's still a member of the Baseball Player Association. And his insight was really good stuff in terms of how we move forward in college athletics.
Yeah, and he owns a World Series ring from arguably the greatest baseball team ever assembled, the 1998 Yankees. So, not bad.
Humble brag. Just a humble brag.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool deal.
Really cool. All right, Bill Connolly from ESPN, the Ken Palm of college football, if you will. SP+. He's got his big preseason breakdown, and he brags about how accurate his ratings system is, while also addressing that there are going to be some Clemson/Penn State whiffs every year, which were the big whiffs last year. But of his projected top 15 teams last year, 7 of those teams finished within 1 win of his August projections, and the 8 that didn't they had a lot of close games that played an enormous role. So he does this deep dive.
So it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, essentially. He's pretty good at it. But he has some Big 12 teams kind of headed in opposite directions. Basically, he notes that his model, his SP Plus ratings system, likes Texas Tech more than the preseason coaches poll, more than maybe even himself on paper. But then BYU, Utah, Houston are all kind of jumbled up. And he notes that there's really a big question about who is the preseason number 2 ranked team in the Big 12, because his metrics have all 3 of those teams rated lower than where they're actually selected or picked preseason in the coaches poll.
Yeah, I mean, he's got Texas Tech at 8 in his final preseason SP Plus, but has BYU 21st. And overall, the Big 12 is 3rd from a conference standpoint. So he's one of the few that has the Big 12 ahead of the ACC, not by much. But, again, BYU is 21st, Utah is 30th, Kansas State's 34th. He's higher than Kansas State than many, but lower on Utah and BYU than many in terms of just the overall, right? So if we think of BYU as potentially being a playoff team, starting at 21, not a great spot, right? So it's very mixed in terms of what SP Plus feels about the Big 12 on the whole, and I think it sort of speaks to, all right, at the top, there's definitely a team at the top, but then for everybody else, there's like a grouping of teams that are pretty much, any one of them can finish anywhere between 2 and 7.
Yeah, and even Kansas State at number 34, TCU at number 32, Utah I think at number 30. But then you look at some of the teams that he projects to have massive improvement. Oklahoma State's the number 1 team. Any conference, he's got them up 22 points, up to number 39 nationally. And he referenced a regression toward the mean factor, which is what he calls coaching changes. But when he looks at the production boost on both sides of the ball, he's got them higher than Virginia Tech. He's got more growth than Florida or Syracuse or UCLA, which just highlights how legit I think Oklahoma State's going to be.
Yeah, and basically the way that he phrased it was he thinks Texas Tech is underrated and the rest of the Big 12 is overrated. Because based on the coaches poll, we'll see when the AP Top 25 comes out, but BYU is 15th in the coaches poll, he's got them 21st. Utah is 21st in the coaches poll, he's got them 30th. Houston is 24th in the coaches poll, he's got them 38th. So he has Houston way down. Like, we've got Houston in that second tier, top 3. He has K-State, TCU, all higher. He's got BYU at 21, Utah at 30, K-State at 34, all higher than Houston at 38.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of teams that barely received any votes in the preseason coaches poll, much higher, because there were so many teams that received votes, like a Kansas State, like a TCU. Now, in terms of regression, here's the bad news. He has Utah as the number 1 team in the country that he's identified with the largest regression. And it's not just the coaching change with Kyle Whittingham to Morgan Scalley, but also he notes that they have very mediocre returning production numbers. Massive turnover on both sides of the ball that's maybe being overshadowed by the fact that you've got the big 3, Dampier, Ficklin, and Wayshawn Parker coming back.
Yeah, and it's obviously well documented what, the question mark with Utah and their offensive front, and for a team that is heavily reliant on running the football, it remains to be seen whether they've done a good enough job in replacing 2 guys that were first-round draft picks. So
surprising that he has Utah with more regression than Iowa State. I mean, think about that.
Crazy.
He's got Iowa State down 10 points to 69th overall. More on this coming up in a moment. Also, Brett McMurphy has submitted his AP preseason top 25. We have the poll. Brett's a good friend of the program, well known, and we'll look at some of the risks that he's not afraid to take. I like that about Brett McMurphy. He's Ari, I'm James. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn.
Extended drive brings up a 3rd and goal.
Back here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, brought to you by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn. Our Friday Power Hour interviews. We do 3 straight hours of Power Hours.
It's a lot.
It's a lot of hours.
I'd say it's something
power.
more than power.
What's more powerful than power? We will have Sonny Dykes and our Countdown to Kickoff series highlighting TCU at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. And then the next hour at 3 Eastern, Media Day interviews with Rich Rod, the West Virginia coach, followed by our Countdown to Kickoff breakdown of West Virginia. And then later on at 4 Eastern, Colorado. We'll do our Countdown to Kickoff series on the Buffs, and then you'll hear from Julian Lewis and Danny Scudero, a couple of players that we sat down with at Big 12 Football Media Days back in July. We're live right now. After the show on Big 12 Radio, you'll hear a full replay of the 3 hours. Ren Baker is with us in like 15 minutes. Brett McMurphy has his AP Top 25 poll. When does the AP Top 25 poll come out? I thought when I saw this from him, I thought it was going to be the actual AP Top 25 poll. No, it's just his ballot. But he's got Oregon at number 1. He's got Texas Tech at number 5. BYU 13, Utah 17, Houston 19, and Arizona number 23.
So as we just talked about the Bill Connolly SP Plus numbers, again, Connolly says he's probably got the Big 12 more underrated, rather overrated. He has the Big 12 rated much lower than the coaches poll that Brett McMurphy does. So it's funny because we talk about all the time about how the Big 12 seems to be underrated, but based on Bill Connolly's SP Plus, the Big 12 is overrated based on these. Shouldn't have teams that high. And, what goes into the SP Plus is returning production, it's recruiting rankings, it's transfer portal rankings. There's lots of factors that go into it. And, again, it's not like an opinion thing. It's based upon an algorithm and metrics that spit out the numbers based upon factors.
The preseason number 1 team in the coaches poll was Ohio State. Preseason number 2 was Oregon. He has Oregon at number 1. Preseason coaches poll have Texas Tech at number 12. To see them at number 5, that feels closer to me than having them preseason number 12. And he has them ranked in front of some heavy hitters. He's got Notre Dame at number 4, by the way. But he has Texas, the Longhorns, preseason number 6. Texas Tech, preseason number 5. How many AP voters will have Texas Tech preseason ahead of Texas?
Well, and where did Connolly had him 8th?
Connolly.
You looked at me like I just was speaking French.
It felt that way. I did not. I could not. I was
because I didn't call him Connerly.
I was reading your lips. I was like, who?
We had Will in the
Kyle Whittingham. I don't know what his coach's poll looked like, Ari. Bill Connolly had Texas Tech number 8.
8.
He had Texas number 6.
And so McMurphy has him 5. Coach's poll has Texas Tech in the top
12.
Well, that's right.
Coaches have Texas preseason number 4.
Well, as we know, Texas is overrated seemingly every single year, so I'm sure this year will be the same for them. Lots of disappointment based on preseason expectations. That's the Sark way.
Taman, if Texas does not make the college football playoff, who's their coach next year? Because it won't be Sark.
It'll be Sark.
If they miss the college football playoff again, you think he's still back?
I think they got to make it this year.
He's back. I mean, unless they go like 5-7.
They fired Tom Herman for not making the playoff.
Well, Tom Herman was bad, and he was not a good guy that was not liked in the athletic department. That's why they fired him.
Yeah, I think it depends what their record is, if he's canned or not. I think they would give him – I think next year if they didn't make it, he'd be gone. But this year they probably still give him back.
With this roster, the budget for this roster, if they don't make the college football playoff, I don't think he's back.
Again, I think it depends what their record is. If it's like a controversial didn't make the CFP, I get it. But if they, have a season like they did last year, I don't know. 3 losses was not on the expectation board.
Well, and more of my bold prediction stems from the roster that they have assembled. It is ridiculous. Like Raleek Brown, the transfer, who was a top 3 running back in the Big 12 last year at Arizona State, 1,100-yard rusher, all the things. Transfers to Texas, he's not even projected to be their starter because they brought in an all-ACC back, Hollywood Smothers, from NC State. Like, they are so deep at every position.
They're going to be fine. McMurphy has, again, Texas Tech 5, BYU 13, Utah 17, Houston 19, Arizona 23rd. We talked last segment and just comparing this to Bill Connolly's SP Plus, which has 3 of those teams, Utah, BYU, and Houston, significantly lower. Let me ask you, of those 3 that Connolly has significantly lower than the coaches poll and McMurphy, which one do you think that outperforms the SP Plus, preseason SP Plus?
Utah, because of their schedule.
Now, the rationale behind Bill Connolly having them at 32nd?
He has them at like 30th.
30th, thank you. Is the turnover on both lines of scrimmage.
And the coaches kind of feel the same way. I mean, Utah finished the season in the top 10, like in the final AP top 25, because they slaughtered Nebraska in their bowl game, and they were one of the first teams out of the college football playoff. They went 11-2, finished close to, if not in the top 10, and the coaches rank them 21st. Like, that tells me that everybody thinks since Kyle Whittingham left, there's going to be a massive drop-off, which I could see in terms of they're not going to be a top 5 offense like they were last year. I don't see them scoring 40 or 50 points a game, but their schedule is very friendly. They get all their tough games at home, and there's not a loss the first 6 games.
Well, but remember, Bill Connolly is not making an opinion about this, right? He's just throwing numbers in and spitting out the answers. So it's the same factors everybody else has judged. I'm not sure how much it takes into account a new coaching staff. It's just looking at talent, schedule, all that stuff. I mean, I disagree with it too. It's telling, though. I think it's Houston. I think the team that outperforms the Bill Connolly SP Plus preseason expectations is Houston. And I mean, honestly, it feels like they don't have to do much to outdo it. It's 38th is extremely low for a team that, man, based on growth, talent, maybe the SP Plus is down on the quarterback situation. Which is certainly something that I've questioned heading into the season. But, I mean, everybody loves Shadre Hurst. Seems like there's great reason to believe this offensive line will be improved. And with as many players as they have back, with an improved offensive line and a team that won 10 games last year, I'm like, what am I missing here?
See, and I love Houston's roster, and I love the depth.
It could be close games, though. They won a lot of close games last year.
Ton of close games. And the turnovers and a lot of those things that'll flip year over year in terms of close games, that's what scares me about Houston.
Sure.
I've actually jumped off the Houston Big 12 title contender bandwagon because of their schedule. At Texas Tech week 3, Will Hammond will have 2 games under his belt. He'll be full go. And then 2 weeks later.
By the way, you think?
I do. Yeah, I think he's ready. And then
I'll give him a game, but that's only playing the first half of both of those 2 games.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, he won't be on the field all 4 quarters against Abilene Christian.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, Houston won in a walk-off overtime field goal at Oregon State, who finished like 2-10.
Yeah, you're right.
They weren't blowing teams out.
No.
And they play at Georgia Southern. That's a sneaky game. I think they win that game.
It's a tough road game.
But it's a road game.
You're right.
Then they play at Kansas State. They've got Oklahoma State. Even though it's in Houston, that's a coin flip game to me. Polar opposite styles. And then after that, they're at Utah. That is a brutal front half of a schedule. So when I started looking at the schedule, thought about all the close games, and then the cold weather games late in the year. At Colorado, at West Virginia. That's going to be nasty for a team full of Houston, Texas kids. I could see them tripping up in one of those.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, look, preseason schedules are always tough, especially in this conference where there's, the middle ground is really hard to predict. But, I mean, just based upon what we know who do we have as the top 3 teams of the preseason?
Our poll, we had Houston, Texas Tech, BYU, and Houston was number 3, right?
Yes. And then Kansas State, Utah in that top 5. How many do they play of those teams?
Houston?
Yeah.
All of them, except BYU.
Yeah, and except themselves.
Yeah.
They don't play themselves.
They don't play themselves.
Yeah. For Houston to be, to take the next step, really compete for a Big 12 championship, it's about Connor Wegman. It's never about an individual player in most cases, but I would say, like, there's a ceiling on a Houston team that isn't a consistent, explosive offense with Connor Wigman through the air. And you've got Amari Thomas. Like, you have the pieces to do it. The question is, can you do it? Because last year it was, well, we couldn't because we didn't feel like the protection was there. Well, you have an offseason to build up that protection. Now it's about the quarterback that you have making plays to win you football games. Connor Wigman did a really good job managing the offense and taking what was there, and he had a good year last year. You know, Houston fans will call me out for maybe not having as much confidence in giving him as much credit. He had a good year last year, but they're not winning a Big 12 championship with that same recipe this year. They're not going to Arlington with that same recipe this year.
And nobody had more one-score games in this league than Houston.
Right.
A reference to the Oregon State game. Well, then they beat Arizona again on a walk-off field goal at home by 3. They went at Arizona State. That was like their signature win mid-October. They won that game by 8. Then they came home and they lost to West Virginia. But then they beat UCF by a field goal. They lost to TCU. They beat a completely dismantled Baylor team by a touchdown. And then they beat an LSU team playing with half their roster by 3. And it sounds like I'm discrediting their season. That's not my intent. But with those one-score games, Bill Connolly points out a lot of times there is regression year over year, and we see it. We saw it with Kansas. We could see it with Kansas State. They had a ton of one-score losses last year. We saw it with K-State several years ago when they went from like an 8 or 9 win team to winning a Big 12 championship. All right, Bill Connolly also notes that the Big 12, he solidifies the Big 12 as the third best league, ahead of the ACC, which to me is how it should be. The Big 12 went like 8-1 against the ACC last year, had a tougher non-conference strength of schedule.
6-1.
6-1.
Sorry.
14-1.
Phil Steele had them 4th, had the Big 12 4th. So Phil Steele has the ACC ahead of the Big 12. I think the story with that is that the ACC may have more teams at the top, but it's not as good top to bottom. And I think in many ways that's what Bill C is saying. Like, for Texas Tech to be 8 and then BYU to be 21st, like, I'm, without looking at it because I'm only really paying attention to the Big 12, I'm sure Miami is up there.
Yeah.
Clemson, are they still up there or no?
Let me look at his collective rankings. It's definitely Miami and everybody else. They've got Darian Mensah. They've got that wide receiver who's super explosive. ACC, he's got Miami at number 7, and then he has – I don't come across another ACC team until Clemson at number 23, and then he has SMU at number 25.
Interesting. So very similar to what he has for the Big 12. You know, a top 10 team and then – a bunch of teams shouldered in 20 to 30, but I'm imagining that, like, the bottom of the ACC is real garbage relative to the Big 12, which should be pretty competitive.
Let's see, who's the lowest rated power conference team in his preseason rankings?
Like UCF and West Virginia, like, they're going to both be better, more competitive teams. I feel like the Big 12, in certain instances, wasn't as competitive.
His lowest rated power conference team is from the ACC. Who do you think it is?
North Carolina?
Boston College.
Boston College.
Number 82.
82.
Syracuse, 76. North Carolina preseason is 56.
Okay, so I was way
So
off.
about 20 spot difference between them and TCU.
He also has ACC, longtime ACC member Cal at 60, Wake Forest at 57. So, yeah, I mean, it basically comes down to he's got the top to bottom Big 12 better than the top to bottom ACC.
Who was the lowest rated Big 12 team? Did you say it was UCF?
West Virginia 72nd.
No, he's wrong. He's wrong.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Speaking of West Virginia, their AD, Ren Baker, joins us around the corner. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, brought to you by Modelo, exclusively on TuneIn and on Big 12 Studios.
Gilkey off the hands of Record and intercepted. Genesis Smith, the safety. Inside the 15.
Sorsby was. He throws. It's Cyrus Allen, and they rally to swing him down. Genesis Smith with great speed to the perimeter. Nice catch. Up, it's on the ground. It's fumbled. Picked up by Arizona. And going the other way inside the 5-yard line, Genesis Smith.
Slow motion for me. Slow motion for me.
Back here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo, heard exclusively on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. We go around the horn talking with all the athletic directors this month as we gear up for football season. Ren Baker joins us from Morgantown. Ren, how are you, man?
Well, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're locked in for this football season. You were on a podcast, and we played some of the audio from who was the host? Help me out here.
That was the Adam Brennan.
Thank you. And man, it was a really cool peek behind the curtain because you got deep talking about the family stuff and how much you're on the road and just everything that goes into being an AD. We thought it was really cool.
Yeah, Adam does a great job. I had not seen a bunch of his stuff before I knew he was coming, but I'd seen him some, and he sets up. It's a much more in-depth conversation. And then, he releases that in snippets over time. And but I've enjoyed watching other people's conversation with him because he really does. It's not the surface level questions that you get used to answering. There's a couple of times even I had to pause and really contemplate, the question. Whereas a lot of these interviews, you do it so much you kind of know. It's like. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. I know I probably shouldn't admit that, but you watch those guys enough, and they've really got the same matches that they do. They just change them a little bit. So that's kind of the way these interviews get sometimes. But yeah, he did a great job, and I enjoyed doing that one.
No, I think it's fine to admit it because for me, I've always felt like pro wrestling mirrors, our society, and especially in sports. It's not scripted in the same way that pro wrestling is, but the heels, the heroes, that is very much prevalent within our sports. And quite frankly, I think that drives consumption of sports more than anything else.
It's funny. Anytime a friend that's going through a tough situation in athletics and, maybe fans or social media is on them, I always say, hey, sports fans are no different than pro wrestling fans. Just find something positive to happen. You run out and save the bad guy with a steel chair, and everybody's back on your team, man. It just weather the storm, and it'll turn.
Yep. Real quick, it's so intriguing the Rich Rod hire from last year because obviously you were not at West Virginia the last time he was there. What have you learned about Rich Rodriguez in the last year?
Just how I don't think you have to be from West Virginia to be successful here, right? I'm not from here, and we've got a lot of great coaches. Steve Saban's our baseball coach that took us to Omaha, not from here. But I do think you have to have an understanding and an appetite to really learn West Virginia culture and what this program means to people here, to thrive and excel, to handle the passion, both when it's good and when it's bad. Probably of the coaches that I've worked with here, Rich gets that more than any of them. Rich also reminds me a lot of Coach Sutton, who I worked for early in my career when I was on the basketball side. He keeps everybody wanting to get better, seeking his approval. But you have to be exceptional to get it, and because part of his mentality is just a constant sense of how can we do this better, I think he does that extraordinarily well too, and yet his players still love and have deep connections to him. To see him when he's with Pat White, to see him when he's with Pat McAfee, it's his relationship with those guys are really, really special. So, he's competitive. I keep trying to remind him we didn't expect him to be a miracle worker. We knew it'd take a little time, and he's impatient. But he's those two things in a way that really helps our program.
All right, so what does that mean, Ren, for this season? Because he's in year 2. He isn't expected to be a miracle worker. You knew it would take some time. So from your perspective, what are the expectations for year 2 in this season?
Yeah, I think we're expecting to take a big step forward. Last year when you come in, not only are you replacing virtually a whole new team, Rich brought a handful of guys with him from Jacksonville, maybe a couple, but there wasn't many. And you're trying to assemble a staff. You don't have a GM on the ground yet. We were going through that process, and so from a recruiting standpoint, you are way behind because the volume that you're trying to get, and the amount of decisions you're having to make. When you're dealing, we all know in this new world when you're dealing with really a budget that's a salary, that's a salary pool. You can only spend so much on one position and so much on one player, but when you need 100 players, that's a really complicated puzzle piece to put in, especially when you didn't have any time to really game plan for that puzzle. And so I think our guys just being out there at practice, there's a lot less misses in the recruiting cycle. I know they're very excited about the players that we have. Rich signed a bunch of young guys, and there's some of them that are ready to play, but there's still some that are going to need development. So we're like a lot of teams. We probably need to avoid injury to have the kind of season we want to have. But there's a lot of excitement, and I think from an AD's perspective, I never look at things, and this isn't just a coach speaking, I do not really look at things from a win-loss perspective because there's so much that goes into that. I look at things from, are we making progress towards what our goal is, and that's fielding a competitive program successfully every year. Do we have momentum? Are the fans still supporting us? And do we feel good about that? And the passion of our fans is really high. The excitement around this team, this program is really high. And my belief in Rich's ability is really high.
One of the things we talked with Rich about at Media Days is, and you just mentioned it, this is a younger roster. I mean, the recruiting class is phenomenal. And even in the transfer portal, Rich, made a commitment to, multiple year guys and not just portal players that were going to be 1 year players, which I think is the right approach. However, you've got to then be able to write the checks to keep those guys, right, that have successful seasons. And there is a recent history here with some of those guys, Akeem Mesidor, walking out the door. How do you balance those two things, one? And two, are you at a different spot financially to be able to support that? Because recruiting transfer portal players that are 2-3 year guys is great unless you can't keep them.
Yeah. So if we look at the past, I think it's a combination of things. I came in 22, and at that point, our activity around NIL had been very minimal, and so we were always making progress, but we were always coming from behind. And as you guys know, if someone gets ahead of you in college athletics, they don't stop and wait for you to catch up. So by the time we would get to 5 million, people were at 8, 9, 10 million, and so we were just kind of always trying to figure out how to catch up. And then what that does is it puts you in a really tough position because you're trying to recruit young talent you can grow, but as they grow, people are trying to recruit them away from you. And then if you lose somebody who's ready to play, then it puts extraordinary pressure on you because you got to go in the portal and bid against everybody to find somebody who's ready to play. And so you just end up kind of in this vicious cycle. And unless you get really fortunate, it becomes very difficult. And so I think really, even last year when we brought Rich in, we give him the biggest budget by far we had, more than 2x of what we'd done the year before. But it was probably somewhere in the middle third of the league, but probably not in the top half. And then because he got here so late, when you looked at what was left available, the price and the return on that was extraordinary. So he actually sat on some of his money and used it the following spring, which I thought was very smart on his part. Probably at times last year during the season, he was wondering if he should have done that differently. But now, when you look at our recruiting class and our portal class, we tremendously upgraded talent. I think our overall spend this year, well, I know it's in the top half of the league, somewhere between 5th and 7th, and going into next year, we've increased that quite a bit to make sure that retention is there. And so Rich said in a press conference last week, we have the money to retain these guys, and we're going to, and that's where we're at. And we've been able to elevate our other sports as well. I think across the landscape of the Big 12, most of our sports are at least at the midpoint, maybe a little higher.
Ren Baker, the AD at West Virginia, is with us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. When it comes to basketball, I saw that Ross Hodge might be bringing a player back that will now be eligible because of this class of 2022 ruling from a Colorado federal judge. Just what's your take on that opening the door for all of these athletes that just found out they might have an extra year?
Yeah, there's nothing certain at this point. And the NCAA's made it clear they're going to litigate that out to the full extent, although it's in everybody's best interest, including the NCAA's, to expedite that litigation. So I believe there's a chance that we could know more next week. And then, in the case of Brennan, he's also filed a court case here in West Virginia as well. So he has really two legal avenues that he is pursuing. And I always try to make this clear because people think the school is suing, and in some cases the school is part of that lawsuit. We've never sued the NCAA, not one time. I've never hired a lawyer for a student athlete to sue the NCAA. When they ask us what their options are, we educate them on their options. We feel like that's our obligation. We support them in their legal rights to pursue remedies. But I'm not somebody who sits here and throws grenades at Indianapolis and the big bad NCAA, because I fully recognize I'm a member of the body that made those rules. And so in some ways you'd be suing yourself. So I'll just say that. So that it's still a little bit undetermined on some of those fifth-year kids, but Coach Hodge has assembled an incredible roster. I mean, I already like his roster, but if Brennan were to get a fifth year, and if he were to choose to come here, and I know what he has said on social media, but those are still two ifs as far as in my mind. But if that were to happen, he's a big addition. I mean, he's a fringe NBA kind of kid. He's got a great body. Really athletic, can play 1 through 5, understands Ross's system. He played for Ross at North Texas and here. So he's a difference maker for us. I mean, he's a potential all-conference kind of player, and would be a veteran that would really help this group understand the system and how we want to play.
What is your opinion on the monster deal with the Big 12? One that is definitely a lot better than I think what most reaction has been to it. And it was really cool last weekend to see the Big 12's logo accompanying Monster on that number 35 NASCAR Cup Series car. Like, what other opportunities are there for the Big 12 to be featured in Monster's branding as well?
Yeah, I mean, Monster is the preeminent energy beverage brand in the country. So I think anytime that you're looking at a potential patch sponsorship, you would like it to be a company who understands sports, who values sports. And again, this did not take any inventory away from the schools at all. This replaced the Big 12's current logo that they have in various places with the logo that's interlocked with the Monster Energy logo. So that's a very important distinction. That this did not take anything away from the schools, and even the changes that are being having to made on the court and on the field, those are not being paid by the institutions, and so it is found money. I've seen people say they think the value should have been higher. I promise you, the schools would have taken more, and the commissioner would have taken more. I mean, at some point when you're out shopping an item and looking for partners, it doesn't really matter what you think it's worth. It's what the market bears. I've sold a bunch of houses in this career that I had, and I've always thought every house I had was worth more than what I ended up getting. So I commend Brett for thinking outside the box. I mean, he's been working on this for over a year, and even as they were setting the patch policies at the NCAA level and working with TV partners, he was very integral in setting those up so that he could do a deal like this. And it's a 7-figure income stream, a lot of it going directly to that NIL, where we know there's 2 conferences that on average are spending more than our conference. And so I think it's found money and it's a good opportunity. Monster's a huge brand. They activate it all over the world. They're going to co-brand and co-activate in a variety of different ways. And then, if the partnership's successful, you're going to get a chance here in a few years to rethink it, re-examine it, and decide if you want to continue it. But we hired Brett Yormark to bring ideas like this to the league. Not every idea has been ultimately acted on, but I commend him, one, for bringing it to us, and two, for getting it across the finish line.
Ren, before we let you go, how many nights out of the year do you actually spend at home? Because you travel so much throughout the 365-day calendar year.
Yeah, I counted up. I haven't. It's been a year or so, but I think last summer I went back and counted up events over the course of the year, and during my time here, it's averaged about 250. And not all those are away from home, right? Like that's counting home athletic contests. But in West Virginia, we are the state's preeminent, not just sports, but sports and entertainment brand in the state. There are no major metropolitan areas, so there's not a lot of concerts that come through here. There's a handful. There's no other sports teams that come through here. And I always say when anytime we do a SWOT analysis of any kind, our biggest strength is our market share and the passion of our fan base. Our biggest threat is that somehow we would lose that. And so that requires you to be active and present all over the state of West Virginia. When we go, we do our coaches caravan, and we do usually 6 locations in 8 days. When we go to rural southern West Virginia, it's the biggest crowds. They're consuming the most beer. It's the rowdiest environments. It's like a miniature version of the Blue Lot. I wouldn't have taken this job if I didn't understand the requirements there, and I would not hire somebody. I probably spend an inordinate amount of time talking about, like, you do not just get to sit in Morgantown and do a press conference once a week. You will be at events all across the state, and it's important. We divide and conquer a lot of things, but I've been to the Boone County Pig Roast, which is an alumnus association in Boone County. I've been all over this state to every little town has a festival of some kind, but it's really important. But my family, they go with me a lot of times. So my oldest daughter has gotten to where she really enjoys going. And so a lot of our fans say she trained to be an athletic director. She has no interest in being an athletic director, but she likes to go hang out with me, eat concession food, awesome. She just turned 15. And so you try and incorporate them where you can. And, the other thing that I do I really try hard to, I can't control sometimes the quantity of time with my family, but to control the quality of time. And so when I'm with them, I try to be really present off the phone. I don't take phone calls unless it's an emergency. And I try and make sure that they know they have my undivided attention, and that, I'm there to be with them. And so that's always my advice to young people. But I think I looked not too long ago, and I'm well in excess of 3 years of nights in Marriott's at this point. So I'd like to slow that down eventually as I get older in life, but I still have a lot of years left to want to do this job and do it the right way. Here in this state, it's really important to the people that we give them a product that they're excited about, and they want to be able to feel it and touch it. And I recognize that and understand that.
Man, that is super cool. And the fans feel so connected through you guys and the athletic department, the coaches, and everything you're doing. Man, you're crushing it. Ren, appreciate your time. Enjoy your weekend.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all you do for the Big 12. And, fall's here. We had our first home contest last night in women's soccer, 1-0. We sang Country Roads, so couldn't have been off to a better start. But, it's here. So I know the sports fans are excited out there. Everybody, I just want to say good luck to all the Big 12 teams, except for when they play the Mountaineers.
Well, and you were playing, I think you were the last team playing in the last calendar year. What do you have the date of when the final baseball game was? It
was in June. I don't remember the exact date, but
so
yeah.
It's crazy.
This summer. People keep saying, "Did you have a good summer?" I'm like, I never like I got 1 week in. I go to Anna Maria, Florida every year, and I got 1 week there. But normally we'll take a second trip to like a northeastern city. Being from Oklahoma, I want my girls to go to Boston and DC and New York City and all these different areas. And we didn't. We were planning to try and go to Boston. I'd even done some legwork. Called Pete Thamel, a good friend of mine who lives in Boston and works for ESPN. And we just didn't get it done. Ran out of time. The shot clock ran out on us, but that's okay. We'll save that play for when we get another break. And I hope the Mountaineers are in Omaha every year. I'll cram a lot into the calendar if we can go to Omaha every year.
Love it. That was sweet. All right, Ren, man, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Ren Baker, the AD at West Virginia, joining us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We will wrap up the week that is coming up next. He's REM James. This is Big 12 Radio, powered by Modelo here on TuneIn.
Juju cash it in. Instead of tackling the loss as Jamori Robinson flashes. You see right there that burst from the former American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year.
The last break. Well done by you. It really is an alignment process, and it's not even a fake punt ball.
Second down, here's Whitman on a play fake. And pressure's coming. He got away from the first, but not the second. Set down by Corey McIntyre to bring up third down. Explosive runs. Their quarterback involved. Fumble! Sims appeared to pounce on it as he coughed it up at the mesh point. Brett Perry, number 5 for West Virginia, up in the box. LJ Martin, balls for short game. Corey Robinson brings him down.
One final time, we are wrapping up the work week on a Fanatic Friday here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. Brought to you by Modelo exclusively on TuneIn. We had two athletic directors today. Ren Baker just joined us from Morgantown, the AD at West Virginia. We talked with TCU's athletic director, Mike Buddy, in hour number 2. And then way back in the first hour of the show, we did our Countdown to Kickoff series for Oklahoma State. Went through some position battles to watch, what we know, what we don't know. Eric Bailey, the Oklahoma State beat writer for the Tulsa World, was our guest back in the first hour. We wrap up the week with, this could have been an email. And I have one item.
Okay.
So, if somebody could give you the greatest compliment ever, what could it possibly be? So this is something I saw on social. I thought this is going to hit. This individual says, maybe the greatest compliment I've ever received from a complete stranger walking down the street. That compliment was, excuse me, but you look like you would know where to find a great brewery. That's a banger of a compliment from a complete stranger.
I mean, that's kind of a 5-tool compliment, right? Like, you look approachable. You look knowledgeable. You look like you've got good taste. You look like somebody who enjoys life. Most importantly, you look like a man who knows where the beer is. I don't think you could beat that one.
If a stranger walked up to you and said, excuse me, Ari, you look like you would know how to find a great, what would it be?
I'll tell you one that is devastatingly effective. You look like you know what you're doing. Which is horribly ambiguous, but yet at the same time, if somebody said that to me, I'd be like, huh, I do, don't I? It's like a confidence boost, but you know what you're doing. Yes, I'm walking, and I'm confident in my ability to walk. Therefore, I do know what I'm doing. But isn't that like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to walk by somebody and just be like, you know what? You look like you know what you're doing. See how they react.
Regardless of what they're actually doing,
they look.
They'll love it.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
Or you think I'd confuse some people? Like, what do you mean I know what I'm doing?
Yeah.
What do you mean a clown? Do I make you laugh? Do I amuse you?
Yeah, I could see that pushback. I think if you go to a restaurant and you say, you know what? You look like you'd know what to order here. That one would hit. You look like you would know what to order here. What should I get? The ultimate compliment.
You look like you know where the good tacos are. For some reason, tacos. That's the one where people are like, yeah, I'm very flattered and confident in my ability to identify the best tacos in town. It doesn't matter where you live. You can live anywhere. But you look like the type of person that could. That's the one. I feel like more than pizza, more than burgers, tacos. Like, shh. Yo, you want to know where the best tacos in town are? I got them. Come with me. Come with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I got a guy. I got a taco guy.
But you're the guy. The guy is you.
No. I got a guy.
Okay.
I got a taco guy. I know.
See, I was thinking like dry cleaner, storage unit. If I saw you walking down the street, I'd say, you know what? This guy looks like he knows where to find the best storage unit.
Or like, do you know a guy? Hey, excuse me. You know a guy? Yeah, I know a guy. You do know a guy. You look like the type of person that knows a guy.
Bowling alley.
Have you ever gotten a compliment from a stranger before?
Yeah. Oh,
in this context?
Oh, come on. All the time. When do I not get a compliment from a stranger?
Like any that you remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Man, you really put me on the spot here. Somebody said I had a nice smile one time. That felt good. Yeah, I know.
Male or female?
Oh, it was a female.
Oh.
And it wasn't my wife.
Was this pre-wife? Post-wife?
It was midwife.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say it was mid. It was mid. She knows about it.
She knows.
I told her. Hey, the lady, I was a little bit in the doghouse and hit her with, hey, the lady at the Enterprise checkout counter said I had a nice smile. I got her real fired up.
Did she go and kill the lady at the Enterprise
Yeah,
counter?
she's dead now. We buried the body.
She's. I told her that so that she'd go and kill that lady.
Yeah.
That nice lady.
How about brunch spot? If I saw you in just a mid-morning stroll, I'd think this man knows where to find a good brunch spot. It's like that one doesn't move the needle for me.
I don't know.
Storage unit, yes. Brunch, bacon and eggs, I'm not your guy.
Yeah, I feel like breakfast and brunch restaurants in particular are the most overrated restaurants on earth. Not to say I don't like a good breakfast or brunch, but have you seen the wait list and waiting times at some of these Saturday morning breakfast?
Yeah, that's why I don't leave the house.
Bro, you've got eggs and bacon and this. You're not reinventing the wheel here. You're not separating an atom. Okay, you're just putting. I don't know how. It's you want a table? It'll be an hour and a half.
Ooh, I
for
got one.
Breakfast food? Who do you think you are?
People love their breakfast. You know what? If I saw you, I'd say, hey, you look like somebody who would know where to find a quality bourbon.
Thank you.
See?
Do I, though?
That's it.
Do I strike? Because sometimes when I tell people that I like to drink bourbon, they're like, really?
It was a bit of a
You?
surprise.
Who?
Maybe a 30-pack of Busch Light, but you could swing bourbon.
The one that I get a lot is you look like somebody I know. You look like, God.
Manu Ginobili.
Do I know you? I get that. I don't think so. You look like so-and-so.
Yeah, I would say any compliment.
You look like John Silverberg.
Who?
That's how I get, you look like just a random.
John Silverberg?
Yeah, that's who you
That's
look
a great
like.
name.
Like David Cohen. That's who you look like. I get that one a lot.
Yeah.
IYKYK.
You know, you look like somebody that would know where to find a great grill. Yeah? You look like somebody who would know their way around to Home Depot. Serious. We know you wouldn't ask any of the associates for help.
My favorite part about this exercise is just the idea of let's give people confidence. Let's walk around the world and give people confidence. Make people feel good about themselves.
I'm working on it. I almost did something that would have been really kind. Would have just smashed grand slam in terms of just strangers doing nice things. But I chickened out. I had the thought in my head, and I totally chickened out.
Which was?
I was at Chipotle, and I saw a guy wearing a Michael Hawkins Oklahoma jersey. And I thought, this guy needs a new jersey. And I think he was special needs, and he had somebody with him. And I thought, I wonder if I went over and I offered to Venmo this nice pair of individuals some money so he could get a new Oklahoma football jersey. I was this close to doing it. And then I chickened out. I totally chickened out.
You know what's cool about that, though?
Because, he was chatting up random strangers about Oklahoma football. You could tell he was a diehard Oklahoma football fan.
See, just thinking about it gives you the goodwill of doing it. You didn't have to spend the money. You basically just did the good deed.
No.
Way to go.
I walked right out of Chipotle. I didn't say a word. I totally chickened out. Taman, what about you?
Number one, I think Chipotle is overrated. Just throwing that.
I will punch you right between the eyes.
Punch me. No, this could have been an email story. It's kind of boring compared to that one.
What is it?
Do you ever look at the clock, or do you just
is
kind
it,
of
is
go?
It time to go?
It
It's
is
time
time
to
to
go.
go.
All right, it's time to go.
You try to keep me here later on a Friday?
It's time to go. I was having fun with the exercise. It's time to go. Taman, you got 20 seconds.
LeBron James said that he maybe would have considered the Lakers had the new ownership been there already.
$12 billion.
I was waiting to hear what LeBron had to say about it. So happy to hear that.
All right, great show today. We had fun. We will do it again on Monday.
Nobody keeps me here longer than you.
We will do it again on Monday. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. For T-Chains on the board, for Anthony Smith behind the camera, we're back then. 8 to 11 Eastern Time right here on the channel. Have a great weekend.